in a second or two. Thank you for your patience. One, two, one, two. Okay. So first, let me just start off by saying that this is my first hearing in the chamber. So I am acclimating myself to the space. So I ask for your patience as we navigate this virtual hybrid model. So not only do I have to be in the chamber, but I also have to make sure that the people who are tuning in are also brought in. So really wanted to just put that out there that this is the first time that I do this, so please bear with us. And this is my colleague's first time in his hearing, so I just wanted to just congratulate you, and so glad that you came out with something so deeply concerning here in the city of Boston, and something that you deeply care about. So excited that you are doing this. So let me just begin. Just to start off, I'm calling this hearing to an order. I do one of these. My name is Julia Mejia. I'm a city councilor at large, and I am the chair of the council's Committee on Education. I am joined by the sponsors of this docket, Councilor Brian Worrell of District 4, Councilor Aaron Murphy at large, and Councilor Flaherty at large. I'm also joined by my colleagues. We have in order of arrival, Councilor Ed Flynn from District 2, Councilor Liz Breeden from District 9, and Councilor at large Ruthie Louisian. In accordance with the Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, modifying certain requirements of the open meeting law and relieving public bodies of certain requirements, including the requirement that public bodies conduct its meeting in a public place that is open and physically accessible to the public, this hearing will be broadcasted in part over Zoom. The public hearing is also being recorded and live streamed at boston.gov/city/council/TV and broadcasted on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and Files Channel 964. If you would like to testify on this matter via Zoom, please email juan.lopez@boston.gov for the link. We will also take in-person public testimony if you have signed up, and ask that you sign in to testify or register your attendance. For those in attendance in the chamber, we ask that you please silence your electronic devices. At the start of your testimony, please state your name, address, and affiliation. Today's hearing is on docket 0294, order for a hearing regarding a cradle to career tracking system. We are joined by the following panelists. Panel 1, the administration. Marcia Ines Mitchell, and you'll correct me if I mispronounced your name, please. She is the BPS Director of Post-Secondary Partnerships and Initiatives. We also will be joined virtually or in person by Rasad Cope, who is the Director of Youth Engagement and Employment, as well as Alex Valdez, who is the Executive Director of Women's Advancement here for the city. Love to see the diversity. Panel 2 is Benjamin Foreman, who is the Research Director for Mass Inc., Will Austin, who is the CEO of the Boston Schools Fund, who will be attending virtually, as well as Dr. Nancy Hill, Charles Bigelow Professor of Education, Harvard University, Director of Research and Education, Boston Area Research Initiative. Wow. Are you in person or in the chamber? Okay, you will have a seat at the table. So come on in and make sure that you're ready to go when it's your turn, okay? Then we also have panel 3. And if you are a panelist and you are here in person, please find a seat within the chamber so that we can make sure that we call upon you and we know who's here and who's in the virtual world. We have Penny Bender Sebringen, who is the co-founder of the U Chicago Consortium, who I believe will be attending virtually. We also have my dear friend in the advocacy education space, Kristen McSwain, who is the Executive Director of the Boston Opportunity Agenda. And we have another friend of mine, Renee Dozier, who I will be joining us, taking a seat at the table here, who is with local IBEW and who has been working really hard at increasing diversity. So happy to see you here in this space and assume a seat at that table, okay? We also have Dr. Sarah Sherry Rice, who's the Executive Director of Digital Ready. And if you are here in person, please, and you too, Kristen, I need everyone who's here to testify, who's here in person, to assume your seat inside the chamber. Yes. Is that okay? Because I'm making up my own rules. I need everybody ready to roll when it's time for me to call upon you. And then everyone else will be virtually. So I am so incredibly happy to have you all here today and in person. So I will now turn it over to my colleagues for opening brief remarks, starting with the lead sponsor of this docket, Councilor Rohrell. Councilor Rohrell, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Brian Worrell, the District 4 Boston City Councilor, and I'm happy that you guys are all here with me today. And I'm also happy to be here discussing the possibility of utilizing data within BPS to create a cradle to career pipeline. We know that the data clearly shows that too many of our students are falling behind or failing to leave our BPS with the skills or knowledge required to transition to successful family-sustaining careers. According to a Globe editorial in 2019, 1 in 4 BPS valedictorians failed to get a bachelor's degree in 6 years, and 40% make less than $50,000. The 2018 report by Ernst & Young LLP found that there was more than 3,400 Boston public school students who were considered off track, which means more than 2 years behind. National studies in 2021 show that students were 5 months behind in math and 4 months behind in reading due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We know that there is a direct correlation between a person's graduating from high school and college to their career path and income level. Other states like California, Texas, and New York have started innovative models to help prepare their students for the careers of today and tomorrow. I'm looking forward to our panelist discussion at this hearing to explore how we can build upon proven partnerships and programs that will better support our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Roral. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Councilor Murphy. You now have the floor.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilor Worrell. When I saw that you filed this hearing and this was your first hearing, it was very exciting.
Can you turn on the mic?
Start again.
Go ahead, start over.
You'll want to hear this twice because I was thanking Councilor Worrell. When I saw that this was the first hearing you filed, I was very excited to join. So thank you for letting me work on this with you. I will be brief because when I also saw the powerful panelists that are here, I know that we're going to learn a lot from you. But I am your at-large city councilor now, but for over 2 decades, I was a teacher in BPS, and I did see too often that we passed along our students when they weren't ready. And we take a lot of data, we spend a lot of time outside of teaching our students during the day to test them, but then we don't always do anything with the data. Sometimes it just sits in a box. And knowing that from birth, we can't just wait until 4th grade when data comes back, or 8th grade when it's time to move on to high school, or in 12th grade when it's time to see what path will we take after. We need to be tracking it from birth. And I really love that this is to career, because oftentimes we end it, BPS sometimes like we wash our hands, like we've done our job, but knowing that we want to make sure that we're supporting them right through when they're able to be financially independent. And does that mean college? Does that mean training in the unions or other training? It's very important that we support all the way through. So thank you very much, and I look forward to this hearing.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy, and I'm going to kick it over to my colleague, Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to the lead sponsor for including me and recognizing my work in the space. The fourth whereas says it all, which says we know that there is a direct correlation between a person's graduation from high school and college to their career path and income level. And I've been long critical in recent years about it's not just about the kid graduating from high school. I think that we here in the city, particularly as it pertains to BPS, when we have a kid come across that stage, in many instances it's a first-generation high school graduation situation that we get caught up in the hugs and the high-five moment, but no one actually tracks that recent graduate on to a career path. I've often said, and my colleagues will remind me because I say it ad nauseum, is that we are an opportunity-rich and a resource-rich city. On top of that, we've got some very precious and significant resources from the federal government that if we don't put those resources to work, we're never going to close these gaps. And we know the gaps. We've got the achievement gap. We've got the opportunity gap. We've got the wealth gap, and we've got the health gap. We've got the perfect opportunity, because I think that here in our city, we tend to operate in silos because we don't sort of tap into the variety of different resources. But we're a city of partnerships, and it's just identifying those partnerships. It's why I've been a longtime supporter of Boston's Year 13, giving kids that opportunity. And just the first 3 cohorts, I don't know of another program in the city that is having the success that Sarah Cherry Rice and her team are having with Boston Year 13. So again, it's just another example of making sure that we're following through. And for me, it's never been just about that kid graduating from high school. It's what is that kid doing next? Is that kid going on to college? Is that kid going on to a career path? What type of career? What are the wages? And I just think about Boston skyline, particularly in my neighborhood, the South Boston waterfront skyline. CEOs are moving their companies to Boston on a regular basis, trying to tap into a lot of our natural resources. The brain power, obviously, the accessibility piece of it, academia. We've got the best colleges, universities, and hospitals, and network of community health centers in the world. So we got a lot of great things going for our city, including championship teams. That said, their workforce and their careers, we want to make sure that that opportunity trickles out throughout all of our neighborhoods. And it really is going to take a concerted effort from BPS and this program that our colleague and Councilor Worrell and also Councilor Murphy are talking about, which is the cradle to career tracking system. And I think we have the capacity and as well as the resources to do it. So I'm looking forward to this hearing, listening to folks who really know this space and have spent a significant amount of time trying to make a difference in people's lives. And we're here to partner with you as the members of the Boston City Council so that we continue to move the dial and close those gaps. So thank you, Madam Chair, and look forward to the hearing.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. I'm going to go to the virtual world and ask my colleague, Councilor Louis Jean, to please offer, actually, no. I'm going to, before, just give you the heads up, I'm going to you next, but I'm going to go to my colleague who's here right now. Councilor Flynn, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia, and I want to say thank you to Councilor Worrell for sponsoring this, and I know Councilor Worrell has been engaged and active on this issue for a long period of time, and thank you for Councilor Worrell and Councilor Murphy for bringing this forward, and Councilor Flaherty as well. Councilor Flaherty and I have focused a lot on the booming waterfront in South Boston, and we've been working to make sure that that booming economy, those jobs, are working for everybody. And Councilor Flaherty reminds us that it's only successful if kids from Boston are able to get jobs there, and kids from Boston can only get jobs there if they have a good education and a good training program. And we highlight and we focused a lot on is there opportunities for kids from the city, from the neighborhoods, from the public housing developments, from communities of color, immigrant kids. Are there opportunities for them to get into some type of STEM program where they can develop these skills so that they're able to not get a job, so that they're able to get a career? So that's something I know we'll continue working on, Councilor Flaherty. But I just want to say thank you to the administration team that's here for the important work you're doing, and want to say thank you to the chair, but also to Councilor Worrell, Councilor Murphy, and Councilor Flaherty for really working hard on this important issue. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. I'm going to go next to my colleague, Councilor Breeden. You now have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really welcome this opportunity to really dig deep into this conversation. I really do think that we fail so many of our students in our schools because we do not pay enough attention to helping them to develop a skill set and a portfolio of job skills that will not only either take them into a college track but also line them up for, as Councillor Worrell mentioned, family-sustaining careers. A family-sustaining career, there are many, many pathways to getting there. I also feel that we're spending a lot of money investing in our infrastructure in terms of new school buildings. We need to seriously look at, are we using those assets to the best we can? Thinking of the school year as a limited time, the school day is limited, the school year is limited. We also need to go beyond the regular school age and think about how we are continuing adult education opportunities for young people who have just graduated recently, or even adults who've graduated some time ago, to see how we can bring the full force of all the great jobs and the business community in Boston and the education community in Boston to equip more of our residents to take advantage of all these new jobs that are coming into Boston. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Breeden. I'm going to go now to the virtual world. I'm going to ask my colleague, Councillor Louis Jean. You now have the floor.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia, and thank you, everyone. Sorry to be joining you all virtually, and my time, unfortunately, is limited, but I wanted to thank, again, the sponsor here, Councilor Worrell, for filing this order, and to the co-sponsors, Councilors Murphy and Flaherty, for highlighting this important issue. We definitely need a holistic system that connects all of the city's very rich resources throughout Boston for our young people. And we have a responsibility as a city to make sure that all of our young people are getting the most from this resource-rich city, and we have to investigate when it's not working or when something new or different could work in Boston. We've seen similar cradle to career ideas in other cities. And also historically, we've seen that oftentimes when we're using the word tracking, sometimes it's meant to funnel or sort students, wealthy students or white students into good schools and programs and everyone else into alternative programs based on perceived ability. And so it looks like what we're talking about is using data and metrics to really track kids to ensure connected pathways, education, trades, enrichment and employment, all of that. And these are not the same things as what we've seen. And so I'm really looking forward to what we can build here. I'm really glad that there's like such a diversity of people represented on these panels, from people in the education nonprofit space to the administration to our trades, to really think holistically about connecting resources for our students. So again, thank you, Councilor Warrell. And even when I have to leave, I know my staff is watching and will be paying attention to see how we can partner and help in this work. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lujan. I also want to acknowledge that we've been joined by another fearless counselor on our body, Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson. You now have the floor.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanya Fernandez Anderson. Welcome for all of you. I haven't gotten introductions or hopefully to get to know you soon. I'm sorry. I have my apologies for being late. Schedule's crazy. Looking forward to hearing this. I'm very excited about your hearing, Councilor Warrell, and in whatever way I can contribute to this process, I'm here. Thank you so much for your welcoming.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just offer a quick, I'm glad that all my colleagues had a chance to have some opening remarks. I'll be brief with mine. For me as the education chair, when I heard this order, and also as I chair workforce development, labor, as well as government accountability and transparency. So I felt like any of these committees would have been the best committee to host this hearing, because all of these things are intersection. I talk about often that I was almost 20 by the time I graduated high school, and I was on the do not drop out track because I had already dropped out. And so when we think about this conversation, I think about all those students who are disappearing from our halls with no level of accountability, right? And I also see this more as an opportunity. The opportunities that exist in the trades, the opportunities that exist in holding employers accountable and creating more access and opportunities for our young people. So I'm really excited about what this tracking system will be able to do, and how we can use that as a measure of accountability and a source of inspiration in terms of, here's when you know what you know. The question is always what you're going to do about it, right? And so I'm really excited about that conversation. And I always say out in these streets is that we're resource rich, but coordination poor. And right now, what I'm looking at across this room are all the amazing thought leaders that are going to get us to where we need to be. And I think that that is what collaborative governance is all about. And so I'm really happy to see you all here. So let's get to it, right? Yeah, I feel like I'm emceeing an event here. But yeah, for those folks who know who I am, know how I roll. So just get ready for it, because we're about to dive into this work. I think we're going to start off with our first panel with Marcia Inez Mitchell, the Director of BPS Post-Secondary Partnerships and Initiatives. You now have the floor.
Thank you so much, Chairperson Mejia, your fellow counselors, Brian Worrell and Erin Murphy, and all of the other counselors who are here today. My name is Marcia Inez Mitchell. You did good, but I don't penalize folks for my last name. I just, correct it when I have the opportunity to do so. So thank you for allowing me to do that, and thank you all for having me here today. So today I am going to speak a little bit about our instrument that we use to engage students in their career and academic planning, which is the individualized success planning process, as well as framework that was developed by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. But before I dive in, I just want to really make a point in saying that the implementation of MyCap has been a cross-sector effort. So we have several organizations and cross-sector initiatives at the table, such as Success Boston, coming out of the Boston Foundation. We have a deep partnership with Generation Success, and I know you'll hear from Krista McSwain from the Opportunity Agenda a little bit later on. And we also have a strategic effort underway around pathway development, where MyCap is a core component of the student development and student support structure with New Skills Boston, which is a pathways expansion effort that's coming out of Investors. So I wanted to name everyone, and I think I got all the core partners, and we'll get a check from my colleagues for that. So utilizing the Naviance College and Career Platform is where I'll focus most of my remarks on today, because that's where we have an opportunity to really track, monitor data and milestone completion of key experiences that we want students to engage in while they're with us within their secondary years at the Boston Public Schools. So through the Naviance College and Career Platform, students have the opportunity to really drive their learning over multiple years as they build their college and career profile. All students in grades 9 through 12 have access to an individualized account that is linked to their school that follows them each and every year. Because we know our student demographics, sometimes there's a lot of mobility, the data automatically is synced within our student information management system, so it's synced with our Aspen, and it follows the students over time. Should a student need to move between schools or between years, that data is relevant and is updated on a nightly basis. We have begun to roll out the Naviance platform to our students in grades 6th, 7th, and 8th, and that work will continue this spring. Students collaborate directly with their school counselors, their teachers, their pathway coordinators in utilizing the tool. These persons also have user accounts. So they're not just utilizing the tool by themselves. These individuals, frontline practitioners, are actually engaging them in robust workshops and lesson plans, and the activity, the aligned activity, whether it's an assessment, a SMART goal feature, a resume builder, the aligned activity is actually what's built into the platform and what we use to monitor and track that students actually engaged in an experience. And while Naviance is not a data system, it does, like I said, track engagement in these milestones for college and career and serves as an e-portfolio. So students are able to utilize it as like a locker, a place to house artifacts that can then be used to apply for internships, jobs, as well as throughout the college planning and application process. For career planning, we utilize the platform in a number of ways. We engage students in a series of awareness and exploration experiences that are monitored and tracked within Naviance. They include a set of developmentally appropriate assessments that follows the students over time. So students gather information about themselves, right? When you think about, how did you kind of learn about what you liked, what you didn't like, what brings you joy, your learning styles, your personality, what's unique about that. But how did you know how it uniquely connected to potential majors as well as careers? When we are growing up, we see things on TV, and we all saw like all the CSI stuff, and everyone wanted to go into criminal justice. My child wants to be a dermatologist because now Dr. Pimple Popper is a big thing. And so we want to make sure that we're putting tools in front of young people where they can assess who they are and where they want to be, but not make it feel like we are kind of locking them into one pathway, but giving them a start, right? Here's a little bit of information and data about yourself, so you can then utilize that to think about what opportunities might be best aligned to fit your needs. Students can then get matched to a set of Road Trip Nation videos to learn about professional paths of folks who are in careers that they are interested in. That video bank is embedded within the platform. So when they complete a career profiler or an interest survey, there's a series of videos from a diverse group of professionals that the students can then engage with. There is a resume builder that's within Naviance. Students develop their resumes within the platform during their 9th and 10th grade years. That information is then pulled down by the PIC career specialist in concert with the student. So in partnership with the student to then develop out what's called a professional resume and put in a professional template to be used for job applications. There is a work-based learning opportunity and feature that can, where we can load opportunities such as internship, career fairs within the platform, and it's used to really target outreach to students in specific career and technical education pathways to career-connected opportunities. The Senior Exit Survey is another place where we capture exploration data. So all of our seniors take an exit survey where they self-report about job shadows that they've engaged in, internships and volunteering opportunities during their high school years.
So I just want to, I'm sorry, I wanted to be super mindful that usually it's 5 minutes for a testimony, so I just wanted to give you the little heads up that I'm going to be asking you to kind of like put a button on that real quick.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
For the career planning, all of our students have access to all of the information that they've collected over time, and they apply that self-knowledge to really working with their counselors and identifying institutions that might be a good match for them. Other career planning pieces that we collect in Naviance is colleges that students are interested in, scholarship applications, financial aid. So we track their FAFSA completion, which we kind of draw down from the data that's housed within the state, and whether or not they've matched their common application to the Naviance platform. Students send transcript through the platform as well. There's an individual profile, and there's data that can be kind of drawn down at an aggregate and a disaggregate level. So I'll pause there, and I'm sure that there will be questions coming down the pike.
And this is where the awkwardness comes in, because first of all, I don't have a mask, so all of my nonverbals are showing you, yes, we have, and the fact of the matter is that the way, this is only 5 minutes, so it's really hard for people to dive into the body of work, but I'm hoping through conversation and questions and answer, you'll be able to bring in a little bit more. So for those who are going to be testifying next, know that you have 5 minutes. Mr. Cope, I know you are well familiar about that, and so I know you got me, but I also just want to be super mindful that try to just be confident in knowing that we'll be able to ask further questions. So if you don't get everything in 5 minutes, it's all good, because we have time to let things breathe a little bit, okay? So I just want to encourage our panelists to just have a little bit of grace for yourself, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a little bit of coaching here for everybody. Yes. All right, Mr. Cope, and I don't have a timer, so I'm going to have to do the little timer. Or do we have a timer? Oh, from someone from the administration. We now, on my list, I have next the director of, Director Cope was on my list. So I can go to Director Valdez since she's in person. So Mr. Director Cope, I'm just gonna put you on pause because we're gonna go with Director Valdez. You now have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. There we go. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Councilor Worrell, and Councilor Murphy for having us here and for coming to testify. Since we have 5 minutes, I'll make sure to make it short and precise. First of all, just thank you so much for your continued support on the Child Care Entrepreneur Fund, which is so amazing and has been a huge success for the City of Boston. To date, we have trained a little bit over 200 family child care providers in the City of Boston. And like Councilor Murphy mentioned, we focusing on the birth and the early education piece is very, very important. Currently, we are having 3 Spanish-only cohorts, which will be actually doing graduation this upcoming Thursday for 54 participants from 2021. So we're super excited. We have 1 more cohort that's left for the year, for the fiscal year, and we are excited to continue in that. Some of our other efforts that we focus in the Office of Women's Advancement is also our child care survey, which is currently out right now, and we always eager City of Boston residents to fill it out. It's mailed in Spanish and English, but it's also available in 10 different languages as well for all residents to make sure that language is not a barrier for anyone that would like to fill out the survey. The Child Care Entrepreneur Fund offers classes to family child care providers in the city of Boston. At the end of each class, they have 6 classes where they take, and then at the end we offer them a $3,500 stipend for finishing the class. The funds can be used for expansion. The funds can be used for quality in their early education, and can be used for anything to enhance in making sure that we're providing quality education for the young families in the city of Boston. The great thing is that we talk about diversity all the time. 90% of the small business owners are women of color, and which brings us so much more to the focus of how do we continue to help more residents in the city of Boston. And this program has been able to do that. And I'm super excited to continue in the work and partnering with you guys and see how we can move this work forward. And I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Okay, let me find out. 3 minutes and 25 seconds.
I
okay.
tried.
Okay, so everybody now has a new rule. Let's try to get to that. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the virtual world. Mr. Cope, you now have the floor.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, council members, community members, fellow colleagues. I will definitely be brief as well. I too was hoping to make it down and be with you in person, but I'm sorry about that. Councilor Worrell, thank you very much for your steadfast leadership on this effort here. So I currently serve as the Director of the Department of Youth Engagement and Employment, and one of the largest efforts of the department is youth jobs. There is a larger ecosystem of youth job providers that make up the Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Program that consists of Boston PIC, as Marsha mentioned, who is a great partner with BPS, ABCD, John Hancock MLK Scholars, our DYE Success Link program, and Youth Options Unlimited. And we have been discussing alignment and better coordination and how we can get to that through our youth jobs program. Certainly, there are many just more organizations that we know of that play a pivotal role as champions in summer youth employment and certainly out of school time youth development opportunities that is really dedicated to this work here in Boston as well. I think when we think about workforce readiness and development, and as we are considering this cradle to career framework here in Boston, I just want to share just one helpful research effort on the youth job front that aligns with this conversation. So in 2020, our office had partnered with Northeastern University on a research grant with the William T. Grant Foundation called the Institutional Challenge Grant. And the Institutional Challenge Grant, it encourages university-based research institutes, schools, and centers to build sustainable research practices with public agencies or nonprofit organizations. So our work is aimed to really support a new researcher practitioner partnership to really reduce inequality among young people through Boston's Summer Youth Employment Program and other workforce readiness efforts. The goal of our research practice partnership is to conduct and disseminate both long-term research and short-term rapid response data analysis to inform decisions about policy and practice to really make sure that we're building a more holistic and inclusive workforce development system for Boston's young people. So there are 4 points. I'll just close with these 4 points. One is increasing coordination and alignment across city agencies, program intermediaries, community colleges, and employers to target opportunities for underserved youth. The second is strengthening program features that have the potential to reduce inequality, i.e. the job type, career readiness curriculums that are happening across the city, job laddering, how young people are moving from jobs to jobs, and the number of summers young people are participating in summer job opportunities. The third is expanding opportunities for youth to engage in post-secondary education and training. And the fourth is linking summer job participants to other year-round supports, i.e. Boston's tuition-free community college program, so they can really build on their summer experience. So those are just some efforts that we're currently working on. We absolutely think that there is, just great alignment with this conversation here, Council Worrell. We spoke the other day, and we absolutely look forward to continuing to be a part of this conversation to figure out ways in which we can support. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cope. I really do appreciate your brevity and looking forward to the questions so our colleagues can dive in a little bit deeper. So I'm going to turn it over to the lead sponsor for your questions. You now have the floor.
Thank you, and this being my first hearing, I forgot to thank my co-sponsors, Councilor Murphy and Councilor Flaherty. I also want to thank all the panelists for your attendance. And anything, that comes out of a creation of a cradle to career pipeline is going to need collaboration and trust amongst Boston Public Schools, the researchers, and everyone involved. And we're looking forward to working with the city, the administration, Boston Public School on this. One of my first questions is, does Boston Public School have one system that tracks students from pre-K all the way through 12th grade? Just a general tracking, data collecting mechanism.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that question. As of now, I believe that data is housed in different parts of the different platforms within the district. We do have the college and career planning platform that tracks that information from 6th grade through 12th grade, and then other experiences such as pathway development, pathway taking, is tracked within our Aspen system. So to answer your question, no, there is not one system that is built currently that follows a student from pre-K all the way to post-secondary or career.
Okay, and a follow-up question is, how many systems do we have tracking from pre-K to 12th grade?
I don't have the number in my head. I do know that we have our major student information management system, Aspen, and then we have a separate data warehouse that we pull information from. We have the Naviance College and Career Planning platform, and then different agencies such as the PIC and others have like Salesforce databases that they also are monitoring students. But we can definitely work with our directors of data and accountability and information and technology and get that specific number and the types of systems back to you.
All right. And then speaking about collaboration, you spoke about sharing the information with PIC. Are there any other departments that you share the data with, and can you describe how that process works?
Yes, we have a robust multi-year data sharing agreement with the Boston Private Industry Council. We also have non-disclosure agreements with several school-based partnerships, service providers who serve as an extension of our school counseling divisions. So they're on the ground in our schools, and we engage them in a data non-disclosure agreement and provide them open access to the platform so they can engage in service delivery with our students. So it's through contracts, data sharing, non-disclosure agreements.
And how do we measure the impact of interventions in assistance? Like, do we know if early childhood interventions are helping our students graduate on time? Do we know if a family that receives assistance from the city of Boston is doing better or worse in a school? Can you speak to how we track that?
Yeah, so we would definitely need to, bring that question back to our early childhood team as well as our director of data and accountability. My specific area is on secondary space, and I haven't really been in the space to track that longitudinal data. We do track outcomes based on mass core taking, AP taking. We know that students who are engaged in rigorous coursework pathways do enter and persist at higher rates, and that is one of the reasons why the superintendent has put forth a push to institutionalize mass core across the board to make sure that students have access to the coursework during high school that would increase their readiness to enter into a competitive post-secondary experience and thrive.
Well, I'll pass it on to my other colleagues and save my other
I'll pass
questions.
it on. I'm the
All
chair
right,
of
yes,
it.
you are the chair. I'll pass it on.
No, I forgot to set the timer, but because Councilor Worrell is the lead sponsor, I allowed him to go a little bit longer than normal, but trust that I'm gonna go next to my colleague, Councilor Murphy, and I will be starting the timer.
Thank you. I'll be brief. So thank you for that. That was informative, but I spent most of my educational career in early childhood and then also as a special ed coordinator. And I am the mother of young adults, so I have gone through the Naviance system as my kids were in high school. And that is useful if you're on the path for a career in college, but we know many of our students aren't, unfortunately. So I'm hopeful that you're saying we're going to move that down to a middle school, like 6th, 7th, and 8th, but we need to be starting this tracking and this support in preschool and kindergarten. So wanting to make sure that, what you said in that system is useful, but not for the students that we know need to have that support when we're realizing that the cradle to career that they're dropping off after they leave us. So making sure that when we're leaving this, this work is going to get that support down all the way to our preschool age students and tracking them all the way through and being able to see what data do we see? What is it, what the students who are leaving kindergarten and getting into first grade successfully, who are going from 3rd into 4th, who are, choosing different middle school options because there were opportunities for them, and this tracking system that Councilor Worrell was, envisioning is going to really support that. So I'm hopeful that we can get that into all of our grades, not just waiting for high school for a certain group of students who are on a certain path. So thank you.
Questions? No.
That was all. Thank you.
Good job. And you did that within time. Councilor Breeden, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Naviance system, I'm just curious, do parents and guardians get trained in how to use that and how frequently? And who's responsible? Is it central office or do the individual schools train the parents and guardians on how to use it? The other question I had was, the notion that there's only one path to a successful outcome. I'm curious about the number of guidance counsellors in the high schools, and do they facilitate exploration of different careers, not just the college track, but are there career fairs with information about apprenticeships in the trades and all the range of career exploration opportunities that our students be exposed to, so that they don't so they really can explore the wide range of options that are available to them.
Yes, thank you so much for those questions. So I'll tackle the first one around the parents. As we're rolling it out to the middle grades, we're also opening fuller access to our families so they know how to access the student profiles and really partner with us and their young person in their self-discovery journey. So to answer your question, the education to parents right now has really been just making sure that there's awareness of the platform and giving them questions that they need to be asking their young person about their planning process. Every parent will now get a user account where they can go into the parent side of the platform and really pull the profile data on their student and track where they are as far as their college and career readiness.
So a follow-up question, in terms of our families who English is not their first language, is there someone to help assist them with that? And is the Naviance, is the platform available in different languages? And forgive me, I'm not familiar with it.
Yes, it's definitely a multilingual platform, but we will roll out a robust information outreach awareness effort in partnership with our Office of Engagement and our Family Liaison, as well as support from the Naviance national team.
Yeah. And then what about career guidance and career fairs and that sort of?
Yeah, so I oversee the district-wide college and career fair every year. That's held at the Reggie Lewis Center. And it's not just a career fair, but it's a college career STEM and internship fair where we bring in industry and trades as well as colleges and universities. The school counselors do lead the MyCap process at the school, and they're very inclusive of career and technical education, pathway teachers, as well as other service providers within that career space to provide context to the students around those specific career paths.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Councilor Breeden. I'm going to go back to one of the original sponsors for questions. Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one question. Was watching from the video, but how many students are served by the current career training pipelines and the early college pipelines?
Yeah, so for dual enrollment, just broad dual enrollment, we have about 550 students who are engaged on an annual basis. For our innovation and our early college structured pathways that are designated by the state, we have approximately 300 students. But we can also get you specific data, pathways by school at a later time.
And we have capacity to do more on that side?
Yes, and with support from our cross-sector efforts, Advestors through the New Skills Boston, we are engaged in a very robust process to build out more innovation around our pathways, and in addition to building out more early college opportunities for our young people.
And current feedback from students and parents has been, how's it been on this program?
You know, so far it's been positive. I think there are those parents who want a traditional pathway for their young person. And they're, you know, the unique thing about Boston is we have so many portfolios of schools that our families can choose from. We need to do more and know that we need to do more around educating our families in the elementary and middle grades on all of the pathway opportunities across our district schools that's available for them and equip them with the power of choice. So that's work that we need to do.
Thank you for the work you're doing here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. I'm now going to go back to my colleague. In order of arrival, it was Councilor Louis Jean, and no, where am I now? Councilor Flynn, you're back. Well, I didn't see you. Well, I mean, come on in, Councilor Flynn. You have the floor.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia, and thank you again to the panelists for the important work you're doing. So I stepped out for a while, so I don't know if my question was asked, but I guess maybe I'll ask one brief question, and I'll review the minutes as well. As it relates to the STEM program, STEM subjects, it doesn't seem like we're doing all that much, or the business community or the nonprofit community. How are we engaging them in these types of programs and getting our young people more involved and active in studying the STEM subjects so that they're able to get an internship, a job, an education, training in one of these growing fields in Boston? So that's, I know it's kind of a broad question, but just wanted to see what your thoughts might be on that.
Yeah, so there's a number of ways, Councilor Flynn, that we are engaging employers. Number one, the Boston Private Industry Council is a core partnership. For example, they have apprenticeships in the tech fields, and they facilitate the relationships and broker the relationships on behalf of the Boston Public Schools. They curate the internship opportunities and work with the student and at the school level to make sure that the student has the level of readiness to access and to thrive within those opportunities. Through our many career-connected learning opportunities for our innovation pathways, there are work-based learning coordinators that work at the school level with industry employers to make sure that the instruction that students are receiving within the classroom connects to their internship and job opportunities within those STEM areas. We have some career-themed early college programs that are focused on engineering, information technology, as well as computer science. That is a very deep collaboration with institutions like Wentworth and others. And so there are definitely big pockets of collaboration happening around STEM with not just companies and industry, but also with our colleges and universities.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess my final point is, I know Councilor Worrell and the other sponsors, Councilor Flaherty and Councilor Murphy, mentioned the close relationship with Bunker Hill Community College. So I'm glad to see that mentioned. I think Bunker Hill Community College plays a critical role in our city. Roxbury Community College plays a critical role in our city. I think both of those institutions need more resources and assistance from us possibly at the city level and in the business community. But, you know, those are city kids that really go to those colleges, and they're receiving a great opportunity, great experience and education and training for a career path. You know, in my opinion, they do more work than some of these major colleges here in the city of Boston. So I'm proud of Bunker Hill. I'm proud of Roxbury Community College, and also Ben Franklin. Mm-hmm. That's in my district. I know it's moving over to Councilor Fernandez Anderson district as well. So I'm proud of that school, and Wentworth as well. So can we do more work in helping, I guess my question is, can we do more work in helping Bunker Hill Community College and Roxbury Community College with some good, unique working partnerships?
I think both institutions are definitely and have been at the table through the Success Boston initiative, and later on, Kristen, in her remarks, can talk about an equity framework that was just launched to really engage them more deeply in focusing on the needs of our young people coming from Boston Public Schools and other similar urban districts, and what are the structures and systems of support that needs to be in place to ensure not just we're opening access, but our students are really positioned to thrive, and that we as a community are valuing the assets that they are bringing to the table, their cultural community wealth, like that we're valuing their linguistical abilities, their navigational abilities, and all the other ways that we measure success. And so that work is underway, and we're super excited to be a partner at the table with them. So yes, there's always more that can be done, but I think both presidents are raising their hand to do the hard work.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much.
Good job, Councilor Flynn. At the 7-minute mark, and I just want you all to know that normally it's 5, but I allowed 2 more minutes because this is such an important topic. But yes, I know I'm going to go next to my colleague, Councilor Tanya. So, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, thank you for the co-sponsors, lead sponsors and co-sponsors for this. I'm very invested in this topic. And it excites me that it's just something that we're talking about careers at a very early age. Sister, what's your name?
Marcia Innes Mitchell.
Miss Mitchell. Innes Mitchell?
Innes Mitchell.
Innes Mitchell. Thank you for your presentation, so eloquently put. I am actually interested in just sort of clarifications for my understanding, as well as my constituents, obviously. So that you have this program, and essentially the platform is an app?
Nope, it's a built-out online platform that also has an application version to it as well.
A web app?
Yes.
So, and so therefore compatible to phones, and parents can access it. And then you said that there's a face where that is specific for parent access, and that students can actually access it as well. Obviously, it's for students. And then, I'm sorry, you work from grade 6 and up, or just 6 to 8?
6 through 12.
6 through 12, okay. And then the way it works is that you're connecting to industries, you're connecting to career building, you're connecting to the school, it's connected to Aspen. And how does that get implemented in terms of Aspen? What are we looking at? If work is being done, if homework is being done, what is it for?
Yeah, so in terms of Aspen, what we're automating in the platform is student name, gender, grade year, other demographic data, so we can sync them to opportunities such as scholarships. There are certain scholarships that's earmarked to certain student groups, and so it's an easy way to just query a student group.
Awesome.
And send them over, similar to internships. We also add in their GPA data, whether a student is taking dual enrollment, advanced placement, all of that other data that are indicators of college readiness.
Thank you. You'll apologize what may appear to be shortness. I just want to stay under.
I know.
5 minutes I got. And so then how do you address IEP students?
They also have access to the platform, and we scaffold the workshops to make sure that it's meeting them where
Appropriate.
they are.
Got
Yes.
it. And then how is this tied into Parent University?
Parent University,
Do you collaborate on any level?
we collaborate with Parent University around FAFSA completion, around all the aspects of college and career readiness, and we're going to do deeper work with them as we roll out the parent platform.
Thank you.
For sure.
And so how does the BPS curriculum, how is the BPS curriculum currently addressing or complementing your work with Naviance?
So one of the key things that we're really excited about is taking the scaffolded lessons and integrating them into the core academic curriculum. So we're not having to carve out a separate advisory to do this work, but there's a teacher training component that would need to go deeper in order for that to be a more embedded kind of experience for the student.
Possibility opportunities there for us to implement something.
Yes.
Got it. And so in terms of, and two more, sorry. My colleague, Councilor Worrell, asked about numbers. In terms of data, you talked about all of these spaces and places where we can access, and you said, look, it's ready upon delivery. Like if we asked you to come back and give us that information in terms of how you're measuring equity or how you're applying this, you said you can access it.
Yes, we would want to definitely bring the team from our data and accountability to make sure that you all are having access to the longitudinal data that Councilor Worrell requested, looking at kind of predictive experiences from early childhood all the way to post-secondary.
In this way, we can monitor and we can measure it, we can reevaluate and how we need to improve, right?
Yes.
So the last thing is then how we've been creating transparency thus far. Have we been communicating with our parents? Have we been working on homeschool connections to ensure that parents are supporting their students in using this feature? At home.
For Naviance. So we haven't rolled out Naviance widely yet to the parent community, and that is the next chapter of the work. We needed to really refine it first within the high school campus and then really broaden it out to our families.
I promise this is the last question. Where are your needs improvement areas? Tell me about, we think we suck at this area. We think we could do better here. We think we're phenomenal here, but over here, this specific thing, we're not doing such a great job. Where are your needs area?
As far as the college and career planning process?
Yes, please.
I think, the integration of it into the fabric of the school, I think it still very much is owned by the school counselor, and they're awesome, right? But we really need to build the mindset across all of our practitioners around owning it, embedding it into different spaces, and really understanding developmentally what students should know and be able to do at any given point in their journey.
By schools council, do you mean the career counselors or do you mean the site council?
The school guidance counselors are the main owners of this, and our big work right now is really pushing it out widely to all the other practitioners in the school, where it's not just happening in the counseling spaces, but really embedding it more fully within the classroom structure.
I appreciate you. I look forward to working with you, and hopefully I can be useful in more improvements.
Yes.
perhaps you'll be teaching me a lot. I thank you for bearing with me.
No worries. Thank you.
Great job. You held it down. In time, yes. I'm gonna just ask a few questions and then I'm gonna do another second round. I've been advised that Councilor Royal has a few more questions, so just bear with me. I just have a few. Are you familiar with the Youth Development Network through the Boston Public Health Commission?
No.
Okay, so a lot of their work is focused on supporting chronically absent young people. And for the last 10 years or so, every summer, I work in collaboration with that network every single summer to address these students who have been disappearing from our schools because they've experienced chronic absenteeism, right? And so I think that as we start thinking about this accountability, it's really an opportunity for us to look at some of the support services in terms of case management, because a lot of the young people who are disappearing from our school halls are juggling 2 to 3 jobs, trying to put food on the table and to support their families. So I think that there is, in terms of, as you start thinking about this accountability dashboard and, you know, really looking at some of the programs that are already in existence that help support these students. So if you're going to do some tracking, it would be, I think it would be beneficial to look into some of their data. So I know they're working with the Burke, Madison Park, Charlestown, and Brighton, just to name a few of our most vulnerable schools. So I think that that data will be helpful to you, and also learning and hearing from the young people in terms of how they're navigating some of these systems could help provide some input that you can share with your colleagues around like how we address this. And one of my colleagues, Councilor Lara, always says that the personal is political, right? And so I was a PIC student, and I got a job through the PIC program, and every summer I worked at the Brigham and Women's Hospital, cleaning instruments and translating, but I was also working at McDonald's and selling shoes at Tom McCann's just to make it all happen. And so as we start thinking about this college to career situation, it's really important for us to understand the lived realities of a lot of the students that we're trying to experience, impact, and that as you're thinking about the data, always looking at what are some of the resources and community support services that exist, organizations that are funded specifically to support our most vulnerable students so that we're not replicating, right? And so I think that as you start diving into the data, really partnering up with some of these nonprofit organizations to help elevate the support services for the students so that the data, and everybody's always talking about data-informed decisions, this is an opportunity for us to look at what that looks like, and more importantly, how are we going to hold ourselves accountable? And I am just curious, there's a lot of accountability conversations happening in Boston Public Schools, where there has been since I was a student there and now as a parent of a BPS student. And I'm just curious, at what point are you all really publicly sharing that information and holding community conversations and bringing some of these parents in and helping them understand how they can unpack this data? What are some of the tools, techniques, and tips that we can provide students to support that work? Because the reality is that BPS is not going to be able to do it all. And there is an expectation that everybody always comes for y'all, thinking that you're going to fix everything. So I think that there is an opportunity to really look at this as a community-centered approach. And I think convening parents so that they understand what's at stake is key. And that's why I'm really encouraged that my colleague over here, Councilor Anderson, had asked about family engagement, because I think that that is key. And so did Councilor Breeden, is that oftentimes those who are living the realities are usually the last to get involved. And I do think that there's an opportunity to ask for feedback in terms of user experience. Are parents able to understand navigating this? Is there an opportunity to do a reset and a refresh? How accessible is it? I always talk about the fact that my mom never made it beyond 3rd grade and struggles to read and write even in her native language. Are we being really superly culturally competent and really thinking about the barriers that people face who are struggling to read and write? So there's a lot of assumptions being made that everybody knows how to turn up an app. But if you don't know how to read or write, it's going to be hard for you to support your student to achieve academic success. So can you talk to me a little bit about some of those efforts and what is being done in BPS to address that?
Around the accountability component for the families?
All of it, like accountability for the families, what are we doing to engage parents, and how are we partnering up with other organizations that are doing this work?
Yeah, we definitely engage parents both at the district as well as at the school level, not just through events, but through smaller workshops, Zoom efforts. I facilitate some of those conversations myself when it comes to like, here are the dual enrollment opportunities for your child, and this is what we need you to do at home to support them in creating a space so they can engage in this very rigorous college course experience. And what does that mean? Because we recognize that some of our parents are definitely, our students are first generation, so our parents don't necessarily understand the college landscape and what that means, and that it requires their students to kind of navigate it in a little bit more of an independent way. We also collaborate with several nonprofit agencies who have a strong parent component, making sure that we're holding on-site application sessions. We launched FAFSA completion is a big thing right now, right? And has been for many years. We bring in bilingual advisors and select organizations based on whether or not they have the capacity to engage with our diverse families. We have the on-site sessions at the big FAFSA, the College and Career Fair that we host in October. We do workshops through Parent University as well. My colleague and I do our own mailings. Like we just did one for the TFCC to our parents saying, here is a free opportunity for your young person to get access to a stackable credential that then can be used to access a four-year degree if you choose. So there's many ways that we're engaging with families, and Zoom has opened up so much opportunity for us to kind of get in front of them at a time that's more convenient for them at night and on the weekends.
Thank you, and I'm going to be like my colleague over here, trying to keep it as brief as possible so that I can get through my time, because I'm holding myself accountable to this too. So I just want to make sure that I get at least one or two more questions into this mix. I'm curious about what role, and I know Kristen McSwain is going to be speaking to us in a minute, but I'm just curious in regards to the high school redesign conversation that was happening a few years ago, like how some of that work in terms of kind of the school culture and climate that we create, the type of environment, so that young people can actually thrive, college or career ready. So I'm just curious as to whether or not, and this could be a yes or no, whether or not you've been involved in any of those conversations.
Absolutely. I do some of the racial equity planning analysis around high school redesign, as well as the strategic planning components around the new pathway development process. Oh
my God, I'm so encouraged by that and hearing that you're at the table with that. And then my last question, because I do have a timer here, is I'm curious about the role that, because not everyone's going to go on to college, and the assumption and the privilege that a lot of people navigate under that assumption sometimes to me puts a lot of pressure on young people who aren't interested in pursuing college. And so I'm curious about what role the trades play in helping to inform how you're setting up students for success who are not interested in pursuing college.
Well, one of the developments over the past years has been really widening opportunities for career and technical education, opportunities beyond Madison Park, right? So you now have CTE programs at schools like English High, Boston Arts Academy, East Boston, and across the district. And our career and technical education leadership team has been doing a great job with growing those opportunities.
And because we're talking about data and accountability, I'm just curious, and this could be a yes or no, because then I do have a question for Director Valdez. Do you have this data and the outcomes in terms of your efforts documented and able to share kind of like what that rollout has looked like?
We have data on pathway engagement and immediate and 16-month post-secondary outcomes. Our pathway team also does post-graduate surveys and I'm sure that they can provide you with some necessary data.
So I have a minute and 44 seconds and counting. So excuse me, oh wow, I'm upgrading you, girl. Director Valdez, if you could just talk to me a little bit about kind of the importance of setting the early foundation, early childhood education. Usually they call it childcare, and we're here to shift that narrative because they're early childhood educators, right? So let's talk a little bit about the important role that setting up that foundational learning and how that could tracking that can help implement and also set up our students for long-term success. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Thank you for the upgrade. Definitely, I think some of the things that we have been doing really to make sure that we track that data is through our child care survey, which goes directly to our parents. And last year's efforts, we focused on how has the pandemic focused on reinstating that workforce and how it has been affected our parents. And focusing on that aspect of early childhood, make sure that we are tracking the quality education and making sure that we are asking parents in that survey also when it comes to the cost. Because of time, I'll give one brief key point from last year's survey. It was that based on the responses of the sample, the average cost of career-based care in greater than Massachusetts state average, which is already the second highest in the nation behind Washington, D.C. And again, this year we are focusing on talking about cost and quality, and we're looking forward to seeing the results that we get from this year's response.
Thank you for that. And just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Cope. I'm just going to ask you one quick question. I'm utilizing the chair's privilege to do so, in case anyone's wondering. Is that I'm just curious from an employment standpoint, what's your data management tracking in terms of how many young people go through the program, how many are retained? Do you have any data around what that looks like? Do you employ new young people? Are there some that come back? And like, based on that data tracking, what have you learned from that?
Sure, Council Mejia. So you may be familiar, we actually use the City of Boston's iSIMS applicant tracking system, where many young people have to go through the employment process through that system. So I don't have the data in front of me. I didn't prepare that for this conversation. But we do just have numbers around, returners, how many young people are participating in the jobs program from summer to summer, demographic data by neighborhood, race. So we do have that data in our city system that we can pull.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate the indulgence. So we're going to, I believe, I'm going to turn it back over to the lead sponsor for a second round of the questions.
Thank you, Chair, Madam Chair. And a lot of my colleagues asked a lot of my questions, but I have just a couple more questions. How is longitudinal data being used to analyze and used for school improvements? Also, does BPS share this data with any other city departments or data analyzing organizations? And are we making this data available to the public?
So we do, with support from the PIC, share longitudinal data on the outcomes of certain graduating classes through the Success Boston initiative. And that has been public for a number of years as we track increases of our 6- and 7-year college completion rate. So, and that's shared with families, schools, heads of schools, counselors, students. We are all aware of that, and then looking at specific interventions such as transitional coaching, the MyCap, pathway development, FAFSA and completion. How is all of that helping to move the needle? As far as the pre-K, more longitudinal data, I would not be the one to kind of speak on that particular piece. We will probably need to pull in members of our Data and Accountability Division as well as folks from our State Education Department to address that specific question.
Awesome. And then Councilor Flynn brought this up for existing partnerships that you currently have with Bunker Hill Community College and other organizations like the PIC and the Boston Opportunity Agenda. What have you found most useful about those partnerships, and what has been the most challenging?
I think what's been most useful is we're all sitting in a cross-sector space where there are clear strategic plans and shared goals, right? When you have a shared goal, you all are aware of what part of that goal, what component you need to address within your system in order to move the needle for our young people. I think what has been challenging is there's initiative overload. And sometimes I find myself quarterbacking for our schools because everyone really wants to do good, and that we need to find a way to kind of streamline all of these different initiatives and efforts that's currently underway.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that all?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask central staff if we, Juan, if we have any folks looking to give public testimony, because I always complain about the fact that those who are most impacted have to wait till the end, so I want to set the stage here and find out if there are any public testimonies before we begin. We do have 3 folks. One? These 2. Oh, okay. The ones written in, okay. Which 2? Catherine, okay. Okay, Catherine Patel and David Rodi. Are you guys here? Are you virtual? Are you in person? There, you're not here. Okay, well, just wanted to let you know we were creating space for you, but we're gonna move on. Okay, I'll now turn over to our second panel, and I'm wondering, yeah, oh, you want to do a second round?
Just one question.
Sure. Councillor Murphy, second round.
Thank you. Just quickly, thank you for all you did, but before we move on to the next panel, I do just want to say how I know that we can do better in the city and BPS at exposing our students, our children to different career paths. You know, the data is already there. It shows us that many of our students do not move on to college, or if they do, that they struggle and they need to take some remedial, like writing or classes to stay in college. And I also know that many times, like when it was college day, I always would say, I share that I wear my dad's proud local 223 union shirt, and all of the other teachers always had their college shirts, which, you know, I'm not down on college, but we never really exposed them and showed them that this path is something also that we should be teaching them at a very young age. And I was a teacher, BPS, and also as a parent going to these college fairs, and we know that the colleges have these nice brochures and they're all around the gym, and usually 5 or 6 unions are sharing one table in the corner in the back. So I think we really need to do a better job at not just talking about different options, but really promoting and exposing our students to them. And one quick question on your child care survey. So we often think of the child care need for those students who aren't eligible for BPS, and we know there's just a small amount of golden tickets for our K0, K1 spots, so, but all of our K2 students are in school. During COVID, we went remote, and we stayed remote longer than most other school districts or, you know, private or Catholic schools in the city. And do we have data, or do we have information that showed, because if I was a mother of a 5th grader or a 6th grader, I also was struggling with childcare because they're now at home and they're not old enough, and many times also even high school kids age, because being able to stay engaged and on the Zoom was very difficult. Do we have data from that period of like child care needs or many calls to the system needing help supporting? And I know it was a global pandemic and we were doing our best, so I'm not pretending we could have like just fixed it, but knowing that we have to not, even as we move out of this pandemic, I think we have to always remind ourselves that we have to remember, like, how did this affect our children and what do we need to do? And I think it will be decades that we'll still be seeing the fallout from it, but wondering if we've already started to look at that.
numerous and a lot of calls in regards to childcare needs, in regards to not having enough seats, in regards to childcare closing due to the pandemic. We're currently working on the data in the sense to compare as to how many childcare businesses did close during the pandemic. And we're also hoping that we get some responses back in this year's childcare survey, which we'll be more than happy to share once we have the full report done. But to your point, it is very important to see how those data came back and also how we are going to react towards moving forward and how do we fix that. And I think being able to, the new creation of the early early education office is going to help us tackle that a lot, and which is going to be a huge win for the city as a whole.
Thank you.
So I'm just wondering if any of the other lead sponsors or any of my colleagues have any follow-up questions before we move on to panel 2. Yes.
I had just a really brief question. The other component into student success is after-school programming. Are we tracking children's access or students' access to after-school programming for homework help or enrichment programs? Because I know we have BCYF. Are we coordinating and are we collecting that data as well?
So I believe that data is mainly tracked and collected through our partnership with Boston After School and Beyond. But I could be wrong. There could be some internal mechanism that's tracking that for the younger grades. I'm just not aware of it.
Another piece of information that might help us, identify indicators that are helpful and then other things that may not be. But thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councillor Fernandez Anderson.
I think from this discussion, what I'm learning is that integration is an issue, obviously. To Madam Chair's point, resource-rich and coordination-poor, we understand that there's going to be data and probably a working session to follow, to your discretion, Madam Chair, on discussing specific questions that we'll have to follow up. We definitely appreciate your work and understand that this is a huge undertaking, and this may be a beginning of a wonderful thing, and hopefully it is. And I think that with what you're offering right now, it's trying to do the best that you can with the resource that you have, and how this council can support you in connecting with or creating policies that will lead to implementation of connecting with or integrating those programs that you're talking about. So I look forward to that. No further questions for now. Thank you.
My mic off. Am I good? I turned myself off. Thank you to our first panel. And if you are able to stick around and listen, which I'm sure you'd love to the rest of the testimony, please feel free to do so, but do not feel obligated to leave. We totally understand. But I will say, as you exit the building, be super mindful that I think once we have a second hearing on this, is that we're going to hope that your data and accountability people are writing alongside you all, because we asked a lot of questions that were like, sometimes we're going to defer to someone else. So it's just something for us to be super mindful of, so that you could be set up for success. So next time we'll make sure that we have someone from Do It or someone from your data and accountability, so that we can help support you in this process. So thank you both. For those who are not sticking around, Mr. Cope, I don't know, you're virtual. I don't know if you want to hang around, but you're more than welcome to. But we will be moving on to our second panel. And so I will ask if Benjamin Forham and Dr. Nancy, I know you already assumed a seat at this table, so you're good to go. But if Benjamin, I don't see you here, so I'm going to assume that I'm not sure if Benjamin is virtual. All right. So I'm going to ask again that we limit our testimony to around 5 or so minutes, and you see that in the question and answer opportunity, you have an opportunity to go in a little bit deeper, so don't feel like you have to get everything in your 5 minutes, okay? So I just want to give you all a little bit of room to breathe, okay? So I'm going to ask then, since I'm also, let me go back to my We have for our second panel, we also have Will Austin, who is joining us virtually. So we have 2 panelists on deck. I'm going to start off with those who are in the building and switch things up a little bit. So I'm going to start off with Dr. Nancy Hill, with Charles Bigelow, Professor of Education, Harvard University, Director of Research and Education, and Boston Area Research Initiative. You now have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councilor Worrell and Councilor Murphy and Flaherty. It is a privilege to be here to talk with you about this initiative. It is something that is dear to our hearts and a dream that we've had for many years at the Boston Area Research Initiative. The Boston Area Research Initiative is an inter-university partnership that collaborates with the City of Boston and numerous universities around the city to use administrative and other data and collected data to answer questions that are jointly important to the citizens of Boston and the greater Boston area and to researchers in the field. I, as a developmental psychologist, I focus on adolescent development and the transition from adolescent to adulthood. I've worked with school districts in this area and across the country, addressing the very issues of high school to career to college that you guys are particularly interested in addressing, and understanding even how high school students think about the job market and whether they feel pessimistic about the job market determines in our longitudinal data whether or not they engage in school. And the students who are most at risk for not engaging if they believe the job market is pessimistic is the students who are doing well, who identify with schooling and education, and when they feel that their hard work isn't going to translate into a job that pays a living wage, they ask themselves, what am I doing? And so our survey quantitative data show that how youth think about the job market, how well they're prepared for the job market, the opportunities to talk about those pathways and steps determine whether even our best students stay engaged. Not just the students at risk, but our best students stay engaged. We've done at the Boston Area Research Initiative numerous work with Boston Public Schools and with the City of Boston in particular. Through our collaborations with BPS, we helped validate and evaluate the Opportunity Index, which is an index that's used by Boston Public Schools that aggregates the amount of risk and opportunities that we say kids bring in their backpacks because of where they live in their neighborhoods and the resources in their neighborhoods. And because this is a school choice district, kids aren't necessarily going to their neighborhood school. And so school leaders might not know the kinds of experiences and resources that they have in their communities that will help them engage in school or will put them at risk. And so by aggregating out using the Opportunity Index, each school in the district gets an Opportunity Index. And then that's used to distribute some funding to provide resources for schools that have kids that come with greater risk. And so we're using big data and quantitative data. We've aggregated for the Opportunity Index data from the U.S. Census, from the Boston Public Health, from 311 and 911 data to get a sense of what's happening in these kids' communities that help them or mitigate their ability to engage in school. It is also the Boston Area Research Initiative that conducted the evaluation of the home-based school assignment system and identified the inequities in access to high-quality education across the neighborhoods of Boston. And after doing that evaluation, we were also able to tweak it. This was with support from Will Austin from the Boston Schools Fund to really understand, well, can we actually tweak that algorithm in order to increase access to high-quality schools? And how then should we use data to determine how students are assigned and the resources that they can access in the schools. In other projects with the City of Boston, we've been able to use and integrate Twitter data to understand segregation and how people move around the city. We've been able to use 311 data and building permits to map where innovation and investment is happening in neighborhoods in the city. When I heard Ms. Ennis Mitchell talk about how data is housed in different departments around the school district, The Boston Area Research Initiative can help them integrate and align those data and merge those data sets so that we can use them. We are super excited about using a tracking system that will follow kids from cradle to career. But more than that, we want to use those data to answer questions about the mediating processes and the mechanisms by which school students do well or not do well, so that we can inform college readiness and career readiness and students' engagement. I'll stop there, and I'll say the Boston Area Research Initiative is excited about this opportunity, and we look forward to collaborating.
You had 50 seconds left, so that means you get 50 seconds more questions added to this line of thinking here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my colleagues. First to the lead sponsor, Councilor Burrell, followed by Councilor Murphy, then Councilor Flaherty. Oh, that's right, because Benjamin is not in the building. Okay, I just want to thank you for that. I wanted to know whether or not Benjamin Foreman, from the research director of MassInc, if he has made it over to the Zoom. No? Okay. I'm going to go next to then Will Austin, CEO of Boston Schools Fund. You now have the floor.
Thanks, Chair Mejia. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for recognizing my opportunity to speak. Thank you, Councilor Ruel, Murphy, and Flaherty, to inviting me to speak today. I'll do my best to address what a longitudinal data system is. Ben Foreman was going to speak to that, but I'll try to be brief, and then maybe we can get to that in follow-up. I work at Boston Schools Fund. We're a nonprofit that's committed to educational access and opportunity and equitable access and opportunity for all kids in the city of Boston. Prior to Boston Schools Fund, I was a middle school math teacher and principal. I'm a lifetime resident of Boston, and I'm a proud graduate of Boston Public Schools. I was fortunate to serve on the Massachusetts Longitudinal Data Task Force, which is a lot of words, but basically it was a process where state agencies, the agencies that dealt with early education, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, higher ed, and then eventually the Department of Revenue, were able to find ways to link their data and share data to answer questions potentially about how kids and young adults are moving through the system and gaining access to educational opportunities and social services. That work has been in place for a couple of years now, and it's still in process, but the kind of possibility and excitement of that system, also like the one you're going to hear about from Chicago, like ones that exist in DC and California, mean that we can be doing more for our kids and families if we're sharing data more effectively. I want to just share three things that I would like the council to take into consideration as they think about creating this system. First, I would assert its necessity. This council and our mayor have discussed important, bold goals for our children, from college, from cradle to career, from health to literacy to closing the racial wealth gap. At a minimum, we have to know if we're successful. And without a data system with inputs from a variety of city and state agencies, we won't know if what we're doing is working. This is not just about the great individual programs and research we've heard about today. It's about having a backbone, a data source, a system that feeds those programs and initiatives from kids when they're 4 to 5 or 0 all the way up to 21. And just to give you a very clear example of what is possible when you share data, I would encourage you on your own time to just Google the vaccination rates of schools in New York City. You can find the exact vaccination rate of any public school in New York City. That data is shared and publicly available. And we don't have that kind of data capability yet in Boston, despite all the great coordination between BPS and the Boston Public Health Commission. If something's important, we have to be able to measure it. 2, I would stress transparency and partnerships. There's no other place in the world that has better higher education resources than us. And we're home to more nonprofits per capita than any place in the country. But these resources are being left on the table. The initial step of organizing and sharing data with partners could unlock amazing resources for families, kids, and neighborhoods. You've heard about the great work that Dr. Hill and others have already tried to do. We can do more of it. But in order to do that work, we need a system. And we also need a culture that says that sharing data is not a game of gotcha. The city needs to move away from a culture of defensiveness about data and data sharing and one towards problem solving for kids and families. The last thing I'd ask you to encourage you to think about is to build systems that reflect all of the city of the children of Boston. So, excuse me, all the children in the city of Boston. At the end of the past school year, 69% of school-age kids in Boston attended Boston Public Schools. That means more than 20,000 kids attended either private schools, METCO, charter schools, or were homeschooled. And the U.S. Census reports that there's 27,000 kids below the age of 5, vast majority of whom aren't in school yet or in BPS. Any data system that excludes tens of thousands of children, the majority of whom are Black and Latino, would be incomplete and ineffective. So if the city is going to be the municipal government for all Boston families, we're going to have to coordinate not just across city agencies, but with the state and even individual schools. We can't have a data system that's 69% complete. Boston can and must do better than a D+ system for their kids. As you continue to see the work today, there's great energy and potential around this idea. An inclusive longitudinal data system is the backbone for the programs and goals we want for all Boston's kids and families. Thank you for your time.
Great job. Will, you stayed well within the time. Another one that's going to get extra minutes for their questioning. Okay, so I believe now I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues for questions, and we're going to start off with our lead sponsor, Councilor Worrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And over the last month or two, I never thought I would be so excited talking about longitudinal data, but here we are. In your opinion, this question is for both of you guys. What are some milestones, metrics we should be collecting as a city and making available to the public and/or researchers to help prepare our students for the next grade, college, and a career? And then what is the best role local government can play in advancing the cradle to career system for all Boston students, and how can we work here, how can our work here interface with what is happening at the state level?
I guess I could start with that. When you ask what kind of data can be shared, from where we sit, any data, we find it very difficult, if I'm frank, to access data through the Boston Public School system. And as Will Austin talked about leaving resources on the table, many of my colleagues who are very interested and invested in the city of Boston find it easier to work with other school districts that have access to data. I think working within the system and making sure that data are protected, that data are confidential, that we follow the FERPA guidelines, but understanding how students are doing in school, both their engagement, their mental health, how they're engaging with their friendships, their social development, along with not just whether they graduate and go on to college and career, but the National Academies produced a report a year or so ago around the opportunities of adolescence. And in that report, they talked about the kinds of skills that youth need in coming through middle school and high school that they need to succeed in a service-based, entrepreneurial, innovation-centered job economy. And it's not clear, it's not just Boston, it's not clear the high schools across the nation are giving kids these skills. And so how do we begin to link what they're learning in school to what the job market needs? And so I know the Private Industry Council is so important as a collaborator, but how do we think about these businesses that are coming to Boston? We want them to hire Boston students. And so how do we come to understand the kinds of skills that they're looking for so that they can hire, so we can train up those skills so that companies that are coming to Boston can hire Boston residents and Boston students. So understanding those, not just what they're doing in their grades and whether they have the transcript, but really understanding what those skills and dispositions that youth really need today to succeed in the job market. Those are the kind of data that we need to be newly collecting.
I defer to Dr. Hill on the what, as an expert on most things, especially relates to education. But what I would say is that the how is not as expensive and as complicated as one would think. This isn't about going out and buying a very expensive data system or buying lots of computer terminals. The work of data, longitudinal data, takes time. and it takes cooperation primarily between city agencies. And so my experience with the Longitudinal Data System Task Force in Massachusetts is that the cost is the time that it takes for these different agencies to share information. The good news is that there are a ton of resources to do that work. There are standard legal agreements that protect privacy and other things, and there's best practices from this being done all over the country, whether it's California, DC, New York, Kentucky. Many states and cities have done this work, but it's going to take coordination to answer questions that are really relevant. Why doesn't the Boston Housing Authority share information with BPS to expedite enrollment for students who are in BHA housing? Why don't we have clearer connections between Boston Public Health Commission's data on vaccination rates and how safe our schools are? Why don't we have better estimations of school population enrollment when we have an entire department of the city that does population and housing projections? The data is all here, and to quote back what Chair Mejia said, this is about coordination. It's not even necessarily about a fancy new tool or even a lot of money.
Thank you. I'm going to just let you know you have 28 seconds left. If you will have other questions, now is the time to ask.
No, thank you.
No, and we can do another second round. I'm just really trying to model behavior here in terms of keeping it moving, because I know we have an hour, a little under an hour to finish this up. So I just want to be really super mindful of my colleagues and the questions that you all may have. I'm going to go over now to Councilor Murphy, then followed by Councilor Flaherty, then Councilor Breeden, Councilor Fernandez Anderson, and then myself. And I do have questions, so just, I'm here for this.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for that. That was very informative. And we all know in this room that data is very important and useful only if it's used effectively, right, and shared the way it needs to be. And it's going to tell us if our students are on the right path. And if we're not looking at the data, we often find it when it's too late to do anything about it. So that's very heartbreaking that we know we're collecting data, but we're not sharing it effectively. And I spent decades collecting data and testing students as a teacher. And oftentimes, unfortunately, it just sat in a box, and it was for me to be able to check off my, my expectation as a teacher. Okay, I did my fall data. Okay, now I did my mid-year data, but it wasn't shared or used among other grades or in a way that we know it can be. And so I think it's very important that you talked about like that defensive feeling, that we get past that and we are in a state where we're sharing data. We often hear about the statistic how 42% of our fourth graders in BPS are not reading at grade level. And I often push back and say to people, that's because in fourth grade, it's the first year that the state, that MCAS is instituted for our children. So that's the first time that we can't hide our data. We can't just say, let's just keep this here. We don't need to share it with anyone. The state is sharing that out. And as a kindergarten teacher and as a special educator, I know it was way before fourth grade that our children were reading below grade level. It wasn't that Tuesday morning that they took that ELA MCAS test that we failed them. It was way back in what opportunities before they got into kindergarten, what opportunities were we providing them all the way up to that day they actually took the test. And that's true going forward all the way through the data that we check. They had a last year, so I think, we can use data that makes people feel good, but if we look at it and we use it effectively, I often say even if it's something we don't want to hear, that's okay. Then we can really roll up our sleeves and know what we need to do about it. There was an article recently in the Globe that talked about how graduation rates have gone up in BPS, but then I remembered that during COVID, the 10th grade requirement to graduate from BPS was removed because of the pandemic. And so that was why many of the students then were able to get their diploma. But what is that diploma? And this is why I applaud Councilor Worrell, that it's not just checking off that box and getting that diploma. What is it worth if you're not prepared for a career that you can sustain yourself in? And have hope and be happy. It's not just can you pay the bills and stay living here in the city of Boston. Are you happy? Are you a good citizen? Are you able to, to give back and enjoy life here in the city of Boston? So thank you for this, and I know that we have a lot of work to do as a council to not just ask for data when we feel like we don't have the right information to make decisions, but to make sure the departments are talking to each other. Because I know many of my colleagues say we're a rich city, but we often work in silos. So I hope that we'll get past that. Thank you.
Questions?
No, just
Okay.
thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm going to move on now to my colleague, Councilor Flaherty, the third co-sponsor of this order.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and obviously couldn't agree more with the panel speakers. I would just opine briefly, as I feel strongly that the reason that we have the situation, Doctor, is that we don't have a curriculum that mirrors Boston's economy. And until we have a curriculum at BPS that mirrors Boston's economy, we're going to continue to chase our tail. And whether that's STEM or just any of the emerging job sectors, they're not even jobs, they're careers. We're missing the boat. Every single day, our children go to school and sitting there and they're going through their teaching and learning process. Until we teach to Boston's economy, those jobs are going to continue to come online. Other folks are going to take full advantage of those opportunities. Our kids, our BPS kids, it's going to go right by them again. And it'll be an entire generation that we're sitting here trying to figure out, how do we fix the problem? How do we fix the problem? It starts with a curriculum, STEM focused, to really take a big bite out of it. But it's not just about STEM. I mean, think about this. We have the best hospitals in the world. The best hospitals in the world. We actually also have some colleges that have great nursing programs. UMass Boston's a perfect example. Why in God's name we don't have a Boston public school that is just strictly geared towards the next generation of doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals? We are the healthcare mecca of the world. People from around the world come to Boston for their healthcare, whether they have insurance or it's or they're paying out of their pocket or it's through the free healthcare pool. Yet we're not even thinking about that next wave of who are the next generation of nurses and doctors and healthcare professionals. Throw in veterinarians while you're at it, but just anyone that's sort of just in that that sector. So we should have a Boston public school that is basically a feeder to these schools. And then those schools in turn are a feeder to Boston's economy. Once again, we're missing the boat. We are watching our school system population decline. So we actually have, we're teaching less kids today than we were 10 years ago than we were 20 years ago when I joined this. But yet our per pupil costs continue to rise. And we're not putting a dent in the achievement gap, in the opportunity gap, and the wealth gap. Yet, as I mentioned earlier in the first panel, CEOs from around the world are moving their companies to Boston. And we just sit on, and we're just trying to figure this thing out. And if we stop worrying about other things, I mean, part of it's there's a bloated bureaucracy here, and part of it is the number of different entities have become fiefdoms. But until someone just puts their foot down and says, no, we need to start to train this next generation to be able to participate, to prepare them and allow them to be able to participate in Boston's economy. Think about that. The jobs are here. The industries are here. The companies are coming here in a regular. There's a current demand right now in Boston for over 13 million square feet of life science space that we're not right now, our stock, we may be able to accommodate maybe 5 or 6 million of that. We're now going to start to see maybe commercial properties in and around the downtown convert to life science. Time has come for somebody to put their foot down and have a Boston public school curriculum around STEM and make sure that we're doing that. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And again, until that happens, we'll have a hearing 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll still be struggling with the same problem. So again, I commend my colleague for his initiative here and working, obviously, with myself and Councilor Murphy and others. But that has to, if we take anything away from this hearing, we need a Boston public school curriculum that speaks and prepares our kids for Boston's economy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
May I add to that? If we had that curriculum and we were collecting data on the skills that students were gaining through that curriculum, we could offer alternative certification that would mean that hiring managers in those companies could say no and have confidence that the people they're hiring coming out of Boston Public Schools have the credentials that they need to hire. And right now, students might go to a community college to look for those skills, but are they getting the certification? And we know, even if young adults are getting skills on the job, unless they can prove through some form of certification that they have those skills, then they lose their ability to be mobile. And so companies might do some on-the-job training, but how does Boston Public Schools use their curriculum and their data tracking to give companies the confidence that students coming out of Boston Public Schools have the skills they need to succeed in their entry-level and future-oriented jobs and careers?
And if I may just add, Madam Chair, to that point is that
Well,
I think we've become comfortable.
You didn't let me answer whether if you
Right.
may or not, so
Thank
I'm the
you.
chair.
Well, I
Let me just
appreciate
let
that,
you
Madam
know
Chair.
that I am the one who's
Thank you,
the
Madam
chair
Chair.
of this. So, yes, you
Thank you.
now have the
Thank you,
floor.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
It should, we've gotten so comfortable with, when we say jobs, we've gotten comfortable with the loading dock, and we've gotten comfortable with the security desk, but we haven't really pushed. We want the CEO and the CFO and the general counsel positions. We want those careers. Those are the good-paying careers. We seem to kind of hang our hat on, well, we got the folks that built the building, and we got the window washers, and we got the security division, we got the guy that's running the loading dock, and we hired some Teamsters. And we seem to be, we rest our laurels on that as a city, and we need to push the envelope more on preparing our kids, our Boston Public School kids, for the real jobs, the careers, those game changers within those buildings, within those companies. So thank you very much. Appreciate it, Madam Chair.
You're welcome, Councilor Flaherty. Let you know I'm the chair of this hearing here. So I'm going to move on next to my colleague, Councilor Breeden, and then I'm going to go to my colleague, I was going to call you Congresswoman, Councilor Fernandez Anderson.
She's got a promotion.
That's right. I'm here promoting everybody, doctors, Congress people. Go ahead, Councilor Breeden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a really great conversation. I hope we move forward into a working session going forward from this. You know, just in terms of the skills that our youth need, I really, like, time sitting in a classroom doesn't necessarily equate with skill acquisition. So I think identifying those core skills and then finding ways to develop, like, group work and collaboration, and I think then we have to look at exposure to arts and music and all those other things that are not enrichment, but they're just another way to help our students develop and think and develop all their full capacity. So in terms of the skills that our youth need, what do you think's missing? Like, where are we missing the boat on that?
Oh, gosh.
That's a big question.
It is a big question. I think some of the ways in which we're missing the boat, sometimes you get it in the classroom, but we're not measuring it. We're not measuring students' ability to problem solve, thinking critically, thinking in terms of creative and innovation, like problem solving, like taking a problem and unpacking it and using even design thinking principles to understand how this problem is viewed from different perspectives, and then how do you really systematically think about how to solve problems. And you get this in some curriculum depending on what the assignments are, but we don't see it as a skill set that's measured. We think about cognitive flexibility, being able to switch directions and to think flexibly about problems and issues in our society, to take multiple perspectives. We think about what youth need to navigate. They need the ability to see how their skills translate from one setting to the next. We know that particularly today's young people that are coming up, they're going to change jobs anywhere from 6 to 10 times in their career. So we often think about how do we get them on to the first job with a future and they get promoted in, but that's no longer how careers work. People quit and move on. They start their own companies and they sell them, or they don't turn out so well, and they need to learn from that mistake. And so how do youth begin to understand how the skills that they're learning translate into other types of companies, jobs, and positions? And so these are all kind of cognitive flexibility kinds of skills and problem-solving skills that we need. And I can come back better prepared with some other kinds of things that, if you would like, that I think that the curriculum should be looking at. But those are the kinds of dispositions, skills and dispositions that people need to thrive in today's economy.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. And really, there was a recent article about the importance of play and in early education, that, you know, in those early years, those pre-K years and first, those very early developmental stages, it's not about academics per se, you know, like knowing your ABCs or whatever. It's about that creative thinking and problem solving and playing well with your peers, all those skills. And those skills lay the foundation for a lot of good development and learning further along. So it starts at the cradle and ends up in a career, hopefully. Thank you. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Breeden.
Madam Chair, may I respond one moment to what she just said?
And yes, and I also see that Will Austin potentially also wants to chime in. So I'll go to you first, and then Will, you'll be next, and then I will go on to my colleague, Councillor Fernandez Anderson.
What I'd like to add is that the kinds of skills you just described that are so important for our younger kids, the play and the peer development and peer dynamics and decision making, they need it all the way through. All the way through. The high school structure is so regimented that our high school students have no opportunity to practice decision making and learn how to make good decisions and consider alternatives. So the kinds of things that you're thinking about that are good for the early grades are good all the way through.
Thank you.
And I would just add that LDS, a longitudinal data system, creates the backbone to know if those things are being done and if they're having full effect. And I just wanted to add one other piece to the career element that was raised a couple times. And I'm not sure if this will excite or exasperate people in the chamber, but we have data already on what careers BPS graduates are going into and how much money they make. That data exists. The state had connected that data 2 years ago. Districts across Massachusetts have this data. Now, it's not perfect. You know, it's limited to Massachusetts residents. As Dr. Hill mentioned, there is job mobility. But to Councilor's points, we actually know what fields our graduates are going into, and we can set goals and understand resources if we want to move them to other careers. That data exists. It's just not being coordinated and shared.
Thank you.
One more comment.
Absolutely, Councillor Breeden, because you know how to handle the council rules. Go on ahead.
I also heard a comment the other day about, you know, there's a shortage of cybersecurity and cyber technology, and that it's difficult, you know, in terms of recruiting for that work. It's very essential in this modern time. And the person who was talking about their pipeline said, you know, they want people with a diverse backgrounds, like if it's anthropology or, you know, whatever, to bring all their creative thinking, problem solving to this space. So I think that the notion of the skills of problem solving and collaboration and imagination lend themselves to a great many of our new modern day jobs that are skills, formative skills that will help our students get into all sorts of career fields, regardless of whether they be healthcare or education or information technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Breeden. And actually, you do have a minute left.
Oh, I waive my time. I know everybody
You yield the rest of your time, and I'll give our panelists an opportunity if you want to say anything. No. I'm saying before, I'm talking about Councillor Breeden's time.
Oh, okay.
So
They
she's
can
still,
use some of her minutes.
that's what I'm saying, yes. I got this, okay. Will or Dr. Hill, do you want any other comments that you want to share in regards to what you just heard? Are we good to move on to other colleagues? Yeah? Okay, great. So, Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you. Doctor, what's your name? Sorry?
Hill.
Dr. Hill, thank you so much for being here and sharing your insight. So, you know, in hearing all of these, your testimony, Mr. Austin's as well, and understanding that we have available data, understanding that there's a certain level of intricacies to this data as well, right? The need of emotional intelligence curriculums, or rather critical thinking or problem solving or cognitive flexibility, all important to development. Therefore, making one more susceptible or having a critical lens in approaching their life and choices, and being able to navigate different careers, or just being able to be flexible, right, to change. And so with that in mind, and I think of that as speaking on behalf of our children and the need. I also heard a lot about, in terms of curriculum, careers, and to my colleague's point, that basically we need to be prepared, Boston needs to be prepared for the industries that are now fast and growing and always have been the center, at least, of innovation and opportunity. And so I think about that, and I think about the data being already existent, and the idea that we will be here again and again and again in perpetuating the same cyclical types of meetings that feel a moot, and where do we go? I believe that we have to be very honest and open to talking about the core issue behind this disparity. And so therefore, with my colleagues and Boston, that we then remove ourselves and become less defensive in our responses means that we're not taking it personal. We understand that collectively, as a community, that we're integrated. Therefore, we all have a responsibility to each other as a society to contribute to this issue, to be able to resolve the problem. The problem being systemic racism. And if we're to be honest about the core issues, we are to touch on these topics and understand that the reason why we are not able to focus our children or be able to connect with our parents is that the social determinants of health that perpetuate by the city systems or government systems clearly tell us that the system is racist. If that's the case, we can look at the data till we turn blue, and that's what we're saying today. We understand the problem, and we understand the demographics of those who are disproportionately impacted. To my colleagues' points and to your points and to the data that we already have, where do we go from here? And how long would we be talking about the issue and not be able to be afraid to talk to our white brothers and sisters, black brothers and sisters, about a common issue that, again, we are interconnected, and therefore what affects you affects me, and what affects me affects you. I guess my addition to that is that we look at data in terms of for example, Will Austin, are your organizations leading by example? What are the demographics of the people that work for you? And are your organizations leading by example? Are the people that are serving or that are commoditizing by the plight of these issues, right? Commoditizing on the problem, do they represent the demographics that are impacted? That's also important. That we are very honest and critical in looking at every detail in how we approach the issue that is, again, perpetuating racism as a public health crisis. Therefore, the black, brown, and brown die because of it. If this is the case, I'd like to make this statement and say that hopefully in the next working session that we are addressing this with a very critical lens, as my colleague, Councilor Flaherty mentioned, that we address how we're connected to those industries, but that we are also looking at those social determinants of health, that we're looking at that data, and that we are holding ourselves, and therefore government, accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Councilor Fernandez, Allison, just quickly, I think that you dropped the mic right there, and I just wanted to know if you had any questions. Was there a question there? I could move on and I could ask questions, or your time is up. Just letting you know.
Madam Chair, I appreciate your grace. I think that the questions have been answered.
Yep.
What are we going to do about it?
That's right. Thank you. So I'm going to put myself on a timer. Now it's my turn, right? I think everybody has gone? Okay. So I really do appreciate a lot of my colleagues and the questions. You know, when I entered this chamber, I entered it knowing what it was like to be a parent, navigating the educational disservice that was being done to so many of us, right? And I feel like we keep having the same conversation, and the only thing that changes are the characters and the lip service that we've been getting, right? So while I do appreciate the need for us to move the conversation, the reality is that there is accountability. And, you know, I've only been on the council for 2 years and probably a few months. And as the chair of education, I'm going to be unapologetic about accountability. And I'm not just going to sit here and drop some really dope, you know, messages about what can be done. The question is how I'm going to hold myself accountable to that work as well as a city councilor. So I do really appreciate you, Councilor Fernandez, for naming the elephant in the room, because oftentimes what we end up getting is a lot of the same old, same old. So my questions are, when you're thinking about the data and the research, are 3. One is, I would love to hear a little bit more about how you're looking at trauma and all these issues that our young people are carrying in their little backpacks, and how that data really informs the type of resources and supports that our schools are receiving to address that gap. I'm also curious about the data outcomes and BPS. And while I do appreciate this whole notion that oftentimes everybody wants to talk about what BPS is not doing, you know, this is the Boston, when you look at Boston Public School students, there's students navigating a number of different types of schools. And I'd love to be able to lean into the data as we start talking about data and looking at the overall outcome and success of all Boston students. While I know that we only have jurisdiction under the Boston Public Schools because the way the dynamics are set up here, I do believe we have an opportunity to hold ourselves accountable to every single Boston Public School, every student that lives in Boston and their educational outcomes. So I'd like to be able to lean into that at some point. And then the last, if we do that, I'd like to look at what it looks like when our students graduate, college or career ready, and are they being set up for success when we're looking at soft skills. Everybody's focusing on academic outcomes, but when we think about soft skills, which is why I'm really excited for Kristen to talk about, because we have worked on redesigning what it looks like when students are really prepared for college or career. I'm really looking at how are we looking at those soft skills in that data, those things that people usually don't measure. Like how your interpersonal communication skills, your interpersonal relationship skills. Like how are we looking at that data to really determine whether or not we have set up our students for success? Because I do believe that the little things sometimes make the biggest difference, but those are the things that we don't usually measure because it's hard to. And I think that if we're going to lean into that data, it would be great to do so with a lens of understanding that not everyone's going to fit into the white dominant culture in terms of how we show up. So I'd like to hear a little bit about how we're going to uplift some of that. So that's a lot. I don't know where you want to start, Dr. Hill.
Well, I'll take it in order. Let's talk about the trauma piece. When students experience, witness, hear about violence in their communities, violence in their schools, there is a trauma effect. And we know that from data in Boston, from the Opportunity Index and its validation, and data from across the nation, that when students are living in communities that have high levels of crime, it undermines their ability to focus. Mm-hmm. There's data out of Chicago, and I know at some point you'll hear from the Chicago Consortium, which is a model of this kind of work. Even experiencing in their community a violent crime 2 weeks prior to a standardized test is going to undermine their ability to perform.
That's right.
And we can, through the Opportunity Index, factored into that is exposure to violence in the community. And so if you're a school leader, a building leader, and you have students in your building, a high proportion of them that are exposed to violence in their community, you're going to need more trauma counselors. You're going to need teachers that are trained in recognizing trauma when they see it and dealing with it. And so in the Opportunity Index, that's factored in, but I think we can do better than that, and I think schools need more resources than that. When we talk about all of Boston, absolutely we have to talk about all of Boston. And I want to acknowledge the racism that you brought up. It is baked into the system. It's baked into all of our systems. And we need to hold ourselves accountable, both in who's doing this work and how we're doing this work. And we know from our data with the evaluation of the home-based school assignment system, that an algorithm is not going to help Boston Public Schools equalize access to high-quality education. It has to do with where those buildings are located, how far students are going to have to travel to get them, the kinds of opportunities or trade-offs that families of color need to make as they decide, do I want my kid to go really far away and get on a bus at 5:30 in the morning to go to what I guess is a high-quality school? But I don't know if it's high quality because it's feeding it might be high quality on math and science and reading, but it's tearing them up because it isn't affirming who they are culturally.
That's right.
So how are we thinking about what is a high quality school for the entirety of the student? Not just their academic preparation or their career preparation, but their trauma and mental health, but also their ability to see themselves and identify with the curriculum. When you talk about implicit bias, I mean, look at all the books that districts across the nation are banning. They're banning the books that are central for people of color to know who they are and feel connected to schools. And so when we think about that, so how do we think about this as a community? And we think about this kind of, how do we get past and move to the next step and what BPS is doing and not doing and could be doing. There's no pointing fingers. Until we become a community and own it and get everyone at the table, that's when we can really help our students in the Boston Public Schools in Boston. We have to do it together. Yeah. No data to say gotcha. That's got to be in the MOU. No gotchas in the MOU. Yeah. Because the gotcha is we're all to blame, right?
Yeah. That's right, and I think that I really do appreciate that level of accountability because I also think that the council needs to hold itself accountable as well, right? There's been a lot of this, and I'm tired of that, and I think that this conversation is going to lead us in the path where we're all going to be held accountable for the work that is needed. But I'm just curious about the soft skills piece in terms of data. Like, are we looking at the impact of that? Just
I'm going to defer to Will on some of the data that he has on, where the Boston Public School kids are going.
Yeah, and then I'm going to defer to Kristen because she's done more of it than me. She'll be on the next panel. But the soft skills are important. I think the question always with soft skills is that they have to be defined. There has to be agreed language about what they are and how they're measured, and getting a lot of schools and people to agree on that is challenging. And so a lot of probably what you hear about that work is it's less so the data system, but how do you get everyone on the same page to agree on the same set of terms and definitions, which again, doesn't take a fancy tool, it just takes time. I just want to connect Dr. Hill's comments back to this concept of having this backbone system of data. There are many city agencies that engage with student, children, and family around the edges of trauma, whether it's the fire department, Boston Public Health Commission, you name it. That the fact that those agencies are interacting with kids and that data is not seamlessly available to the folks that are going to see them in school the next day is limiting. And we should have that type of data, both the short term, but also kind of the long term piece of this. And kind of echo Councilor Fernandez's comments. I mean, the point of a longitudinal data system is not to focus so much on inputs and programs, it's to focus on outcomes. And so unless we see that the outcomes are changing, that the racist outcomes are changing, then we're not doing what we're supposed to do. And only a long-term data system that is monitored and transparent will show whether or not we are actually changing the racial wealth gap, or that we're closing the distance between high school graduates and college graduates by race. Health indicators, all those things. We can talk about programs, they're important, but all that matters in the end is the outcome. And if the outcomes are still racist, then the system's still racist. That's just logic.
Yeah, I'm going to, in the interest of time, because I want to model my own behavior. I've already reached my time, so I am going to ask, in the interest of time, unless my colleagues have any other burning questions, not comments or statements, if you could just withhold them. If you have statements, we could wait on them, but if you have questions while we have our panel here, I'd like to honor that. But I do want to make sure that we move on to our third panel because I know they've been waiting patiently, and I think we really definitely want to make sure that some of my colleagues are able to be here for that. So with that, if the lead sponsor are okay with it, I'm going to move on, okay? So I'm going to move on to our third panel, and I just want to say thank you to our panelists, panel 2, for bringing so much of yourself. Will, you know, you and I have worked in this space and looking forward to that level of accountability. And that is shared responsibility and accountability. And Dr. Hill, thank you so very much for coming in person and bringing so much of your passion and your purpose and bringing it here to this chamber. And we look forward to learning from you and working in collaboration with you as we continue based on whatever the boss over here has to say in terms of where he wants to go with this. I'm here for whatever that is and look forward to seeing you again. You're more than welcome to stay if you want to, but if you want to go, now is the time for you to do so before I hold you hostage. The same goes for you, Mr. Alston. Okay, so I'm moving on to the third panel, which, if you give me a minute,
Madam Chair, if I may, I do have to apologize. I have a hard stop at 4:30. I sincerely apologize.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to go on to the second panel. It's 4, right? Oh, it's 4:30. Oh my God, it's already 4:30. Oh, I thought it was like 4 o'clock. Okay, so Councilor Fernandez, before you go, you want to say any closing remarks?
I think that I really appreciate that folks have things to do, but hopefully that when we schedule out, we give expectations for everybody to stay. I would have liked for our previous panelists to remain, because we're talking about an ecosystem of these resources. But if we leave and we're disconnected, then we're not listening to each other. So
that's right.
Thank you so much.
I always hope that we could put the administration last and make them listen to everything people got to say. But sometimes the scheduling is not an easy thing to do, so I really do appreciate that feedback. But the good thing is that this is being recorded, and they have an opportunity to listen and then come back ready to answer. So I'm hoping that the administration is listening in, and they will take some notes and be coming ready to move it. Okay, so I'm going to move on to our third and final panel. And I believe we have virtually joining us is Penny Bender Simbring, who's the co-founder of the Youth Chicago Consortium, which I hear is going to be an exciting presentation. And we also have one of my favorite people out in these streets doing the work, Kristen McSwain, who's the executive director of the Boston Opportunity Agenda. So I believe those are our two panelists. There's one more. We have, of course, Renee Dozier, who is with local IBEW 103. So I believe, and then last but not least, we have one more. Yes, she already took her seat. Dr. Sarah Sherry Rice, who is the Executive Director of Digital Ready. So Dr. Rice, thank you for being with us here in person. And I am going to now go over and start off with you, Penny, who I believe is joining us virtually. You now have the floor. And just so you know, the way we work here, you got 5 minutes for your presentation, but do not feel rushed, because during the question and answer period, you will have an opportunity to expand upon a little bit more on your thoughts, okay? Cool? Okay, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. And I congratulate you all for thinking so hard about these issues and problems. Your questions sound similar to what we think about in Chicago. So first, just a brief overview of the demographics of the Chicago Public Schools. We have 636 schools, 340,650 students. 78% of them receive free or reduced price lunch. In terms of the racial ethnic composition, our largest group of students are of Hispanic background, 47%. The next largest group are African American students, 36%. Then the next group is white students, 11% of our students. And finally, Asian students, which make up about 4%. And then there's a small percentage that includes many other groups of students. Most of our teachers are, about half of our teachers are white. 22% are Hispanic, 21% are African American, and 4% are Asian. And just an overview of the consortium. The consortium is at the University of Chicago. It is a research institute that investigates the problems and challenges of the Chicago Public Schools. It identifies how programs and policies are working, and it illuminates what matters for school and student success. It was established in 1990, so we are almost 32 years old. The consortium works in partnership with CPS, the Chicago Public Schools, though it is independent. This means that we provide credible evidence that educators, policymakers, and the public can rely on. In this way, we seek to inform school improvement by providing the facts that everybody can trust. Our research focuses on core problems facing practitioners and decision makers. We actively share findings. We engage CPS leaders, teachers, as well as nonprofit groups and parents. We maintain neutrality in that we do not endorse specific programs or policies, but we try to bring a lot of information to bear so that people can begin to make sense of these things and make choices. We have about 30 full-time equivalent employees, and our annual budget is $4.5 million. We raise all of that from foundations and government agencies. So that's always an ongoing activity. What data do we get? We have a data agreement with CPS, and periodically we receive updates of the data. This includes students' students' attendance rates, test scores, their participation in bilingual education, special education, their grades, if they're in high school, whether they are on track to graduate from high school, whether they graduate. And then from the National Student Clearinghouse, we obtain data on where CPS students go to college, whether it's a 2-year college or a 4-year college, whether they persist, and whether they complete college. So this means that we have data from 3-year-olds in preschool all the way to college graduates. In addition, we survey students and teachers every year, and this is a very critical part of our information because students and teachers give us a very good window into what is happening in schools and what their experiences are. So let me give you 3 examples of the kinds of studies that we've done. First is the 5 Essentials survey. We determined over a period of years that the schools that were strong in 5 areas, which we call the 5 essential supports, were much more likely to improve in attendance, in test scores, in grades, in college enrollment than schools that were weak in those areas. So every year we administer to administer surveys to the teachers and students. These are carefully designed, and they provide responses that helps us assess how strong or weak their school is in this area. These reports they're given back to the schools ahead of time, and then they become public. So everyone can see which schools have strengths or not in these 5 areas. Schools use this for their own school improvement planning. Over time, these measures of the 5 essentials have been getting stronger, and this is no surprise because our test scores and attendance and these other outcomes have been going up. The second study is on Freshmen on Track. about 20 years ago, we discovered that ninth grade was the make or break year for high school students. If they had a successful ninth grade year, they were much more likely to graduate from high school. We shared this information very broadly within CPS and within nonprofit organizations. And many schools and many nonprofit organizations working with schools went to work on this problem. And teachers established ninth grade teams and in various different ways began to work with students in improving their attendance and their engagement in their ninth grade classes. High school graduation went up a lot. So in the 1990s,
I'm sorry, Penny, I just wanted to just kind of give you the heads up that there's 5 minutes for the testimony. So if you don't mind, just in the interest of just being consistent and fair to the other panelists that I've cut off, just being consistent with that. I just wanted to let you know if you could just kind of just get to the last, just so we can move on. Thanks.
So the Freshman on Track led to a great increase in high school graduation from 48% of ninth graders graduating in the 1990s now to 83% graduating. And we had a similar study in college going that has, we think, has helped to push the college enrollment, and that has also gone up significantly over time. So I will stop there. I was supposed to answer some questions about how we work with the city and how we work with the state, but I'll leave that.
And
Thank you.
Thank you, Penny, for your grace. You will have an opportunity to answer those questions because we do have colleagues that have questions, so we could have an opportunity for you to incorporate maybe some of that in some of your answer. But I'm going to just switch things up just to keep everybody on their toes here. I'm going to ask my the lead sponsor of this hearing to ask some of his questions, and then I'm going to ask my colleague, Councilor Murphy, to ask her questions. And then I will leave Councilor Worrell asking his questions, and I will be right back. Councilor Worrell, you know.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Bender-Steinbring. Thank you for joining us. And those are real impressive numbers. It's almost a double graduation rate from within the 30 years. Can you tell us what you would say are the key elements to getting the data system partnership like the consortium off the ground?
Well, I think it's good to we are at a university and we join forces with the Chicago Public Schools, although we also have many other partners and we view our audience as larger than the Chicago Public Schools. We started small and both sides, I think, had to develop trust in one another. As Dr. Hill was saying earlier, bringing the data together and sharing it is really not a matter of gotcha. It's a matter of helping everyone understand what the conditions are in schools, what the progress has been, what the challenges are. And in just having informing everyone, and so that we all are looking at the issue from the same set of facts. One of the things that we're very careful with the Chicago Public Schools. We've gotten to know them over the years, and we know the top leadership, we know the people in the departments, we know people in the schools. And one thing we do is that before we release any report, before it becomes public, even early when we're doing studies, as we're starting to see what the findings are showing, we are starting to feed that information privately to CPS so that they know what to expect. And before we release any report, we have what we call a no surprises briefing so that they hear it before. Again, I think if the spirit is collaboration and trust, that this will make it much more successful. So I think The fact also that we're at a university and we are independent of the schools is another key factor, so that we're the third party without conflict of interest, and our evidence is viewed as credible. So I would say those things.
You have one more. Just for the record, for everyone who's wondering what I did, I switched it up. I spoke to my the co-sponsor of this, and I asked him to ask us 2 questions to our current panelists, and then we're going to move on to the other 2 panelists that are the other 3 panelists that are here. So Councilor Ruel has one more question, and then what I'm going to do is ask my the co-sponsor here if you have any specific questions for Penny, and then I'm going to move on to the panelists, just in case everybody was wondering what I was doing. I conferred with my colleague over here. Okay.
Thank you for that, Madam Chair. Can you talk to us about when the data is reviewed? Is it annually? Is it quarterly? Is it biannually? And then what happens in that review when you're reviewing the data? Like, what do you do with that information? How do you analyze it and deal with the school improvements, curriculum?
You know, all the data they're usually almost always connected with a specific study. So let's talk about I didn't talk about our college enrollment study. So we had done several studies about 15, 16 years ago, starting to outline what some of the potholes were for students going to college. And then first, who was going to college? People didn't even know how many students were going to college and whether they were completing. And so we did several studies to share that kind of information. So we release it in different ways. Sometimes
Penny, I'm sorry, I'm the chair. I'm so sorry. This is my job to make sure that we keep things on track. But I just really want to be super mindful that we still have 3 more panelists left and some more questions coming down. So I would really encourage you to kind of like just wrap up the answer to this.
Okay.
Because we don't have the luxury of time and we still have 3 more panelists to go. So thank you.
Okay, so I'll try to be concise. So it isn't looking at a broad set of indicators all at once. Really, we look at the data study by study. So college enrollment, we've just done some studies on bilingual education and achievement of students coming out of bilingual education. So oftentimes there's a convening or an event where CPS people come, where nonprofits come, and the data and the media. And that's one way it's released. There are follow-up meetings with departments at CPS. So it's really on kind of a study-by-study basis.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Councilor Murphy, you had a clarifying question, right?
Yeah, just quickly, I know Chicago's a much larger city, and you said you have 663 public schools compared to our 123 here in Boston, but we also know that many of our children in Boston do not attend our BPS schools. So wondering, do you know the percentage of Chicago students who actually attend the public schools?
I think it's about 80%.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just kind of an educated guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. And now you are more than welcome to continue, but I wanted to, at the very least, I know you, even though you're virtual, but you are a guest from out of town, so I just wanted to make sure that we gave you an opportunity to have some space. I'm going to move on in the order of, let me go back to my script before I mess everybody up now. We're going to go now to the next person on my list is Kristen McSwain, the Executive Director of the Boston Opportunity Agenda. And I will say, Kristen, you know how I roll. I got you 5 minutes here, so let's go.
I'm going to try and do it in less than that. So good afternoon and thank you. My name is Kristen McSwain, and As the counselor said, I am the executive director of the Boston Opportunity Agenda, and we're a public-private partnership that works to create a just education system by removing the systemic barriers that have created unsatisfactory outcomes for traditionally marginalized communities across the cradle to career spectrum. So we've been part of the Cradle to Career Strive Together national network for the last 11 years. We have a leadership table that is a mix of government, philanthropy, nonprofit, higher education institutions. And I think for the purposes of this conversation, it's important to understand it's the Boston Public Schools, the charter schools, the Catholic schools, the City of Boston, Bunker Hill, and UMass, as well as a number of philanthropic organizations. And right now we're chaired by Lee Pelton of the Boston Foundation and vice chaired by Bob Giannino of the United Way. Together, we convene and support 4 networks across the Cradle to Career pipeline: the Birth to 8 Collaborative, the Opportunity Youth Collaborative, Success Boston, and Generation Success, which is our campaign for college, career, and life readiness. These networks bring together hundreds of individuals and organizations working to create long-lasting change for the residents of Boston. Every year we publish a report card which tracks student outcomes across the education pipeline, including kindergarten readiness, 3rd grade reading, 6th grade math, high school readiness, college enrollment, and college completion. We use the trends in the report card over time to identify areas where we should consider creating a collaborative. So this is how we identified the need actually to have a citywide definition of college, career, and life readiness. A deep dive into the data showed that students were graduating high school in greater numbers, and they were enrolling in college at greater rates, but the rates of college completion were plateauing. Additionally, over 30% of the students who went on to post-secondary were enrolling in remedial education when they arrived. Councilor Murphy talked about that earlier. Finally, feedback from our families and students across Boston, regardless of school type, indicated that most of them thought that if you passed MCAS and you got that graduation certificate, diploma, however you managed to finish high school, that you were ready for life after high school, that you were ready to go to college. And so we were telling our young people that they were ready, but we actually didn't prepare them to be there. So based on all that information, we convened workforce development, higher ed, and school leaders from across all 3 sectors, and we created a citywide definition of what it means to be ready when you graduate high school, with a particular focus on ensuring that our young people are able to make those decisions with agency and true choice. Not just, you graduated, the only thing you can do is go to Bunker Hill because you didn't fill out the FAFSA, you didn't do any applications, like you didn't know what the process was, so that they are able to do those things as they choose to do them. In 2017, we released the framework and a set of initial metrics that were adopted by BPS, Catholic, and charter schools. There are 5, which are proxies for the skills and attributes students need to be successful. So GPA of 2.0, can you get A's and B's? So can you fail in something but succeed in something else and get that 2.0? Do you attend at 94% or higher? That is not only about the young person getting to school and being able to overcome whatever their challenges are, but also about the culture and climate of that school. Is it welcoming? Is it a place that I see myself being successful? Do I want to be there? Access to rigorous coursework. And in this case, we said specifically, it's Mass Core Plus. Mass Core is the floor. You want to be able to have an AP experience, an early college or dual enrollment experience, IB, something beyond Mass Core. You also need to, as Marcia talked about earlier, have the opportunity to create an individualized learning plan for yourself. BPS calls it MyCap, other people call it different things, but starting at least in 9th grade, who am I? What do I want to do? How do I begin to test things out if I have no idea? And how do I keep track of that information in a way that's actually meaningful to employers, to others, and it shows up, if not on my transcript, it shows up in my camp plan, and we're working on that. And then the last thing is you have to have anywhere intertime learning. Something you get credit for that is not in the classroom. That can be a workplace learning experience, that can be a volunteer experience, it could be a wide number of things. We tested those criteria. Bob Balfans did a research for us, so the consortium does the same thing. You publish a report, you say this is what we found. What we found is if you had those metrics and you were a BPS student in the class of 2010, you graduated college. If you didn't, you didn't. It's very simple. So we're like, okay, these are the right things to be tracking. Which I think is important for this conversation because it's not just about the data. There is lots of data in Boston. What's the right data? What are the questions we want to be asking? And therefore, what do we want to collect? So we released that research. I have copies for all of you. We found that 48% of Boston graduates from the class of 2017 were ready. We've set a goal of 66, and we're tracking it every year. A couple of these things for this conversation that are important. We have to get that data manually. It is not in all of the different places. And we'll talk about the rest of your questions.
Yeah, you could see y'all are learning, reading all of this. Kristen, you know how. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. And just know that the folks who are going to be, you would be able to finish up your presentations hopefully during your Q&A portion. So I'm sorry for the rush, but we do have a 5 o'clock. But we're going to start a little bit later because we're going to go to our next panel. Our next, we have right now, next, I'm going to turn it over to Renee Dozier. Dozier. Thank you very much. One of the fearless folks out here who's working really hard at making sure that we increase our diversity efforts is local 103 IBEW. Renee, you now have the floor. A little bit.
I just want to say thank you for having me here, Chairwoman, Councilor Worrell, Councilor Murphy, and everybody else here. My presentation is short and sweet. We are in the apprenticeship program, the IBEW 5-year apprenticeship program. And we are out of Boston, and we have a mandatory 10,000 hour program on the job training and 1,000 hour in school. And we have to report to the state, so that's who we are accountable to. My thing is, I do a lot of outreach, right? And I'll go to even to the STEM schools or to the alternative high schools, and they're saying, what is an electrician? What does an electrician do? Because they don't know. And that's a problem because in Boston, like Flaherty said, we have all this work coming up, this lab space Boston people should be doing this work, and we should be getting trained in school. And I know this isn't data, but it's important, and I appreciate the space to be able to say this. We have pipe fitters, plumbers, laborers, all these folks, and we hear that this work is a path to the middle class, period. You can make a living wage and do very well for your family. I'm a product of Boston Public Schools, and I have children from 26 to 6, so I understand the importance of apprentice, not just in the trades, but just like you said, nursing and everything else. So I think that, in my opinion, that we really need to work on our apprenticeships in the school. And we used to have them back in the day. I know my father and my uncles will say, remember Brighton High used to have this, or even English has a program. They don't have an electrical program. So they call me and say, can we come to your school and can we visit? Absolutely, because we want to have more. We need Boston residents. We have a program with Madison High. We take all those kids from Madison, right? Our teachers are in there. And this is the partnership that we really need to solidify with the city, because this is our city. We should be, the people from New Hampshire and Rhode Island or wherever else they're coming from shouldn't be taking our jobs. So.
Thank you for that. Brevity as well is deeply appreciated, and also your own lived experience navigating that space. So thank you for holding it down. I'm going to go next to Dr. Sarah Cherry Rice, and then we'll do some questions with our colleagues. Let me put on the timer because.
Hi, well, thanks so much for having me today. First, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Dr. Sarah Cherry Rice. I've been in the district working around this work about 15 years. I'm a BPS parent. I've got 3 kids in BPS schools. I also was a former district administrator. I taught math and science in middle school. And I've trained many of the teachers and principals here in the city. So working in our public schools, I'm going to bring kind of a nuanced understanding of what I see as a nonprofit and community-based leader. So at Digital Ready, we are a nonprofit that really started 7 years ago with the high school redesign project. So as you might recall, that was under Superintendent Chang and then Ron Dorsey, where we went out across the city and interviewed 2,000 students and their families and asked them about what they want to see here in the city. And I really appreciated the comment earlier. We have so much data at our disposal. We know what our students and families want. I totally agree. When I interview students, they're like, stop showing me the one door, whether it's Bunker Hill or not. I love Bunker Hill. But can I see all of the doors that are open and available to me here in Boston? We have 45 institutions of higher ed. We have incredible union jobs. We have life sciences is booming. But what we don't have is the career pathways and the early college pathways. And if you look at the current data, you can see very clearly the inequities. So we're a Success Link Boston organization. We go in, we dig into that data. For every 20 applicants that we get, 19 are from Boston Latin, 1 is from an open enrollment high school. If you look at early college in this city, 1% of students in this city have access to an early college pathway. If you break down who is in our innovation pathways, it doesn't allow for students who enter the country later. So if you enter as a junior, you don't have the option to join a Chapter 74 and innovation pathway. If you don't have the right GPA, you're not getting access to a career pathway, an early college pathway. We've reserved dual enrollment options for only students that are at the top of their class and have taken everything at their high school. Other cities in our state have opened it up to everyone, to students not just that have a 4.0. In our Boston Year 13 program, we have students who have a 1.63 and that can use that extra year to increase their GPA, show their potential. We have 100% of students in our fall Year 13 class pass Intro to Engineering at UMass Amherst, which is, I don't know if I could have really done that. I was a poli-sci major, but an incredibly rigorous course that then they can use as currency. So the big thing we're asking to think about is, we call it triple currency. What gives our students currency to compete in Boston's innovation economy? And there are 3 things, right? It's a high school diploma. That's like the floor, I agree. Mass Core is, only 37% of our BPS students get Mass Core right now. The second thing is early college. So how do students, they can use college classes as currency. And then the third is work-based experiences, internships, apprenticeships. We were launched with the Boston Private Industry Council, but still when those applications come across our desk, it is mainly from the exam schools. We have not opened up the opportunity to all of our open enrollment high schools so that all students can really see the menu of options that they have that are right outside the door that can connect them to jobs. In cybersecurity alone, there are 16,000 jobs in the greater Boston area that don't require a 4-year degree, but require 6 months in a boot camp and then 6 months in an apprenticeship. And there are so many pathways like that, but we haven't taken that data to really implement and then open up that access.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm excited to know that you've been working with my colleague, Ron Dorsey, on all things school design, and so really encouraged by your work. I'm going to move on to the lead sponsor to open it up for questions, and then I'm going to go to Councilor Murphy for questions. And then I just want to say thank you, Dr. Hill, for staying and listening, and looking forward to our continued partnership. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Councilor Worrell, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Ms. Dozier, just quick question. How many partnerships with Boston Public Schools do you currently have? And how many students are in that apprenticeship program?
Madison, and we take 100% of those kids. Everybody comes in. and we work with them if they need extra help with, like she said, the soft skills, because some people, it's hard work. You got to get up at the really early and you have to work hard, but you don't do that in class. So that type of stuff, we work with them. But that is the only electrical school in the city. We work with pre-apprenticeship programs like Building Pathways or Youth Build, or similar programs like that. So we need more. We need more pipelines. We do a lot of outreach, even for the middle school kids. There's a camp at the firemen do, because the National Electrical Code and the firemen are very connected. So we work with them with the middle school kids in a summer camp. We talk to them and give them some exposure, because exposure is everything. Once they know that they have that option, then they can do their own research. But a lot of times they don't know. Kids don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I believe that VOTEC, career readiness, should be in all schools across our district. But thank you for your work, and this is what we're fighting to achieve here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Call me, because it's important. It's so important. I'm an electrician 20 years, but I didn't have the exposure. I just stumbled onto it. So.
Thank you. And then Ms. McSwain, quick question. You talked about the metrics for high school. What metrics are proving to be impactful in the lower grades, like early childhood, middle school?
One of the other reports that we gave you is, and two of those, I apologize, are outdated. The most recent versions are on the web, but sometimes it's easier to have it in paper, so you can go find the next one. The state of early childhood in Boston is primarily about childcare. And so when we think about the things that young children need, they need access to high quality childcare. They need to have opportunities for play in safe spaces, all the kinds of relationships that we know older kids need, younger kids need too, and they are protective factors for them. So even young children who are experiencing trauma, when they have strong relationships with their caregivers and with their families. So there's a microcosm of the early childhood work that mirrors what we talk about in the high school readiness space, which is all about relationships, executive functioning, to use the jargony word of it. But those are the kinds of things that we are measuring in high school, and beginning to, working with Boston After School and Beyond, badge young people as having demonstrated that they know how to work with their peers, they know how to problem solve. And so those are, they're the same kind of skills in an age-appropriate way in the different settings.
Thank you.
If that's helpful.
Councilman
Yep,
Morel,
thank you.
You still have 2 more minutes left, but you don't have to use
his
it.
2 minutes.
Let me find out you're going to take his 2 minutes. Go ahead, Councilor
Thank
Murphy.
you.
You have the floor.
So thank you, all three of you, and thank you for waiting and being patient, because your testimony was very important as the first 2 panelists, so thank you. And this is going to tie Renee and the unions into a lot of the data that you shared, my kind of comment and question. And I just really liked that you spoke into the record and into this space, how we tell our students and families that they're ready, that they've graduated, and Councilor Worrell's first whereas, how it says, that 1 in 4 BPS valedictorians, so that is the one person who is at the top of your class, not like the middle of a high school that may be struggling. The top of the class failed to get a bachelor degree in 6 years, and 40% of all of our valedictorians make less than $50,000. I mean, that tells you right there that our families and our students have put faith in our system, and we're handing them a diploma, but it's not translating into success. And I know that you can have one student who graduates from a high school in BPS, and freshman year in college is easy. They often say, my junior and senior year in high school was harder than my freshman year in college, so they are absolutely prepared to succeed academically in college. And then we can have another student who graduates from and gets the same Boston Public School diploma, moves on and goes to college thinking, and it's probably very scary, and they're going to do okay, and they're failing because they can't keep up with their English 101 course. So that's something I know that your data was sharing with us, that when we set the bar very low and we say, you need to just get this to pass MCAS, then you get a diploma. We really need to step that up. But what we do also see, and Councilor Flaherty often speaks about it, and he did here, about how we need to align our curriculum, but we also need to have feeder high schools. And BPS does say they do, right? They'll check that box because we have Madison Park High, which is the box to say we have a Union Pathway High School. We have the Kennedy School, which they'll check that box and say we do have a high school that's a pathway for students wanting a career in the medical field. And, you know, we have these high schools that they say we have the Arts Academy, but we know that once our students graduate, they're not ready. So we often only talk about, are our students ready for college? And are they able to graduate and be successful? But if you could just speak, Renee, quickly, or not quickly if you don't want to, about many of our interns who maybe not have graduated yet, but I know you take on many students before they're done with high school and the different trades and companies across the city, but also those who have graduated from, say, Madison Park or high school, and they come to you, are they ready? Because I often hear that many times we haven't prepared our students to be ready to take on the training and the apprenticeship and the union also. And was speaking earlier with other colleagues just about that work readiness is important. That brings you to college, that brings you to whatever career you're going to take, just life, knowing how to manage your life and support that training. So if you could speak to how ready we are sending your students to your...
Yes, so that depends on the child first, right? So some of the co-op programs will put them in a prefab shop and give them some experience, but it's in a controlled environment, right? So they're not out in the elements, and they're not at work at, you know, when they graduate, and they're not on a job site at 6:30 in the morning when it's 0 below or 100 degrees or whatever. So it depends on how hungry the kid is and how they really want to, you know. We do have a boot camp at our apprenticeship program. We tell you, this is what you got to wear. You know, try to get them ready. You know, you got to be able to pick up the, you know, body mechanics and things like that. But we do, it is a gradual thing. Are they ready right out the gate? No. No. But they're our kids, so when you guys give them to us, we have to take care of them. When they're our apprentices, we have to take care of them. So we have our own way of taking care of, especially the, you know, the first and second years. We take care of our first and second years and make sure that they need extra warm clothes or you know, body mechanics and all the other stuff. But it's a learning process. But if they have the basic knowledge, we can work with that. But we need something to work with in the beginning. So.
And how Councilor Worrell framed this as, you know, birth, prenatal, I often think too, to career, is the data too. We should make sure we're tracking like those who aren't just going on to a college pathway, but did we, you know, prepare our students to move on to the trades career, which is a wonderful, lucrative career path also.
It is, and we have partnerships with Benjamin Franklin, right? So when the kids come into our program and they find out that what they really like, what aspect of the trade that they like, they can become project managers, estimators, or whatever they want, you know. So once they get in there, they, you know, feel and see what they like the best, they have those options.
I'm going to go to Kristen. I believe you wanted to say something.
I just want to piggyback on that question because we did some exploration with the state to figure out how we could include students who go into apprenticeships in our data so that we could say something that wasn't just about young people who went to college. And the problem is that all of the data that Renee reports to the state doesn't include the high school where the young person graduated. And so we can't say, right, who went to a Boston high school. So even knowing that, I think, would give us so much more information about where young people are coming from, which trades that they have found an interest in, and how we can support greater growth in creating those pipelines.
It's about sharing that data.
And I see you also have, you want to say something, your mic is on, so.
Oh, it is?
Only if you have something to say. I'm not prompting you.
No.
Okay.
I think they haven't been going off.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So, Councilor Murphy, are you good with your?
I'm good, thank
okay.
you. Yeah.
I'm gonna just ask a few questions in the interest of just sparing everyone here, because we're over time. But I'm just gonna ask Renee if you could talk to us briefly about the benefits of your apprenticeship program. Once you go through that program, you are making a significant amount of like salary. So can you just talk to us about that? Because I don't think a lot of people understand the impact that that program makes.
Yes.
Talk about that.
So we have a 5-year program, like I said, and it's 10,000 hours in on-the-job training, and 1,000 hours in class. So over the period of 5 years, our apprentices top out and they make $100,000 easy a year. And it's hard work. Don't think, oh, it's money. Yeah, you earn every penny, but you can open your own. You get your journeyman license. You can get your master license. You can open your own shop. I mean, there are no limits to what you can have, be, do, or have.
So I just want everyone to just really let that sink in terms of like, that's not usually, and I'm not sure if there's something with the mics, everybody else's mics are on, but just to really be super mindful of the benefits that when we talk about union opportunities is that no one really leads with that. And we're always focusing on the college while, I was one of those kids that I struggled my freshman year, and I was not ready for college. And had I not had the award-winning personality that I have, I would have still been in college. And a lot of our students are ending up having to drop out, and that financial burden should be another layer of accountability that we look into in terms of who is responsible for allowing that child to be passed from grade to grade to grade. And I just want to put that on the record as you all continue to look at the, and I'm going to go to you, Renee, in a quick second, but just to really talk about that level of accountability and transparency, because there needs to be some discussion about the number of students that we should still feel a sense of responsibility for, who have graduated and have not been set up for success. If we're really, expanding this conversation around cradle to career, let's just talk about the restorative justice and the reparations that exist for those kids who are paying financial debt to the detriment of the education system. So, Renee.
Just to jump on that fact too, we are 100%, we pay for our own, we're self-paid. So your education, you don't come out, you don't graduate with the debt, we take care of our own. So that's not just electrical, that's all the union trades. So we have a joint apprenticeship training program, and you have to pay for your books. And that's it.
And that's it. And I think it's under $500. I mean, I think for the 5 years, you're only spending $500 in your professional development and investment. And I think that those are the sort of things when we're thinking about cradle to career and pathways to success. It's really important for us to lean in to all the opportunities, which is why I really do appreciate what you mentioned, Digital Ready. Oh my God, Digital Ready. Ms. Rice? Ms. Rice, yeah, that you talked about young people wanting to look at what's behind door number 1 and door number 2 and come on down. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I was just going to add that when we embed this in our high schools, early college is no cost. So a lot of if we look at our state high schools, high school students are now able to earn a certificate, industry recognized certificate, or an associate's degree for free. And I think that's huge. So you don't have to make the decision between college or career. You could come out with 2 years, no cost, no debt. You can explore, because one of the things we hear from students is they get into that first year of college, or even in Boston year 13, where everything is free. Mm-hmm. And you're like 21 years old. You may not know how many, we get adults who apply to year 13 and say, hey, I haven't figured it out yet. Can I join? So where is that opportunity to explore, to figure out your purpose and passions and not just be, shooed into a pathway? Even embedding these apprenticeships into our high schools much earlier. Mm-hmm. We don't have to wait until you have the high school diploma. Students are so ready to explore and say okay, let me try being an electrician. Okay, let me try cybersecurity. And we always say finding out you don't want to do something is as valuable as finding out you do. Because don't spend 4 years in college That's a lot of debt
Yep.
if you don't want to do that.
Yep, and I'm going to ask one last question in the interest of holding myself accountable to time. And this one is for Kristen. I'm curious if you had to put a dollar tag when we're thinking about closing that achievement gap and the opportunity gap, in order for us to truly set up every child for college or career, have you given some thought from a research perspective of what that would cost us to deeply invest in that vision?
So, no, and I'm not sure it's a money issue. I think we've just highlighted, even just here, opportunities that every kid in BPS does not know is available to them.
That's right.
It's not about, as Councilman Flaherty said, we have a ton of resources in our city.
That's right.
We have an unbelievable amount of wealth. And it's really distributed inequitably. And you see that not only in our neighborhoods, but in our schools. And, you know, Councilman Worrell started out talking about both the Parthenon report and the valedictorians report. And things have gotten better since both of those.
That's right.
But that doesn't mean that they are good enough. And, you know, my kids have the opportunity to go to BLS. And I'm very thankful for that. But there are other young people who are not in that school.
That's right.
And not everybody should be, because that's a whole different conversation. But there are wonderful schools in our city that our young people are going to, that are being taught by great educators. And even then, those young people don't know about this program.
That's
They
right.
don't know about that program. They don't know, because we have so many programs that are little tiny ones that are not connected. And so the question is, does the data system give us that? Does some kind of communication system give us that? Is it I would argue it's a both and there's probably some money that comes with that, Chair, but I don't think it's the millions and billions of dollars that people think it is, because we already spend billions of dollars.
And which is exactly why I asked the question. And what I said in my earlier comments is that we are resource rich but coordination poor.
Absolutely.
And we need to do a full audit of how we are working across sectors, experiences, nonprofits, to really close that gap in a way that everyone, including the City Council, is holding themselves accountable. So I'm glad that you, on the record, named it. So thank you for that. So I'm going to go to, I don't know, somebody's knocking on the door, tell them to go to the front door. I'm going to ask Councilor Worrell for any closing remarks, and my colleague, Councilor Murphy, and then we're going to close this out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to all my colleagues that joined me, and thank you to all the panelists. I think that we all understand that it's about collaboration, and then through that collaboration, we'll be able to connect our students, our families, to the pipelines to have not only college but just any type of career here in the city of Boston. And I'm just excited that so many people are interested in this conversation. So I'm looking to further have more conversations around this so we can see what we could do here in the city of Boston. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to more conversations.
Thank you, Councilor Worrell. Councilor Murphy, you now have the floor.
Thank you, and thank you, I'll say it again, Councilor Worrell, for putting this forward. I know this is the beginning of lots of conversations, so I'm excited for the work ahead. I did just want to, say it, I think it's enough's enough, right? We drive by all of these work sites across the city. If I go down River Street in Mattapan, or I'm driving through any neighborhood in the city, I see New Hampshire and I see Rhode Island license plates on trucks. And I see students in schools where I taught for over 20 years, and myself as a parent in the city, where I never, and I say this honestly, ever knew one student or one parent who, if they thought their child or a student thought that a union job was where they wanted to end up, that Madison Park was where you should go. So the one high school we say is the vocational high school in our city is not even something that many of our students think like, oh, I should go to Madison Park High if I want to be a successful electrician, or I should go to Madison Park High if I want to, be an automotive, So that's something we need to address and really work at. But thank you for this conversation. It's just starting, and I know we'll continue to do great work because we need to for our students and our families in the city.
And for the final time, I just asked central staff if we have any folks looking for public testimony. I know I made that call. We're good, right? So seeing none, I just also wanted to thank both of the sponsors, the 3 sponsors that participated in this. When I first saw this, I thought it was going to be his maiden speech, so I didn't want to ride his coattails, so I didn't reach out. But had I had the opportunity, I would have been all over this, because this is my language. This is the work that I've been deeply invested in. I'm so glad that you brought it to the forefront. Councilor Roral and Councilor Murphy and Councilor Flaherty, looking forward to working alongside you as the Chair of Education to move this conversation with the sense of urgency that this time requires, right? And I also just want to name, in the interest of really understanding that, you know, we usually have 2 years in this seat, so we want to make sure that we move this as quickly as possible, because that's how disruption works. All right. So I'd like to just thank everyone for participating, understanding that this is just the beginning. And as the chair, I would like to move forward and recommend, if the lead sponsor agrees, that we keep this in committee, and would love to have some further conversations around hearings and working sessions, because people are tired about the conversation. So it's time for some action, and I look forward for your leadership in that space and doing just that. So we'll remain in committee. Yep. Awesome. Okay, so without further ado, I have to gavel us out. This hearing is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.